Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday Night Forum. Yeah, we're all plain clothes tonight, and Stan's got, I think, Star Wars. Is that Star Wars shirt? Stan? No, $6 million man. All right,
Yep.
good stuff. Yeah, it's definitely the summer. We're in the middle of it now, and things are moving fast. So hopefully Tony's going to join us a little bit later. But welcome Stan and welcome Gary.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
hello, people.
Things are moving fast, so yeah, pull up a chair. It's gonna be a fast Thursday night forum as well. So second bid, where do we want to start? We want to start with the second bid today for Leeds.
Well, shall we talk about who's come in? Because we've got kind of like
Yeah,
we've actually like sealed the deal on a couple already, right? And then
yeah,
maybe we look at what's to come.
do it, do it. So you start off, Stan.
Well, so far we've got two in the door. One of them was I was very amused with the Fabio Vieira. I really liked the way that went down because we all see the links during this sort of period of Arsenal. We've got the usual people out there, the Gillian Balags, the Fabio Romanos, the Ornsteins, the Charles Watts, and then on top of that, you've got the Twitter folk that always they've heard something. I've heard that such and such is considering, and what have you. Nobody mentioned the name Fabio Vieira, as I remember. Wasn't on my
No,
radar. I didn't even know that a person called Fabio Vieira walked the earth until I found out that we'd signed him. And I kind of like that, and I think that it shows some of the section of our fan base that's are quick to jump on Edu and Mikel's back that things are happening. And by all accounts, we've brought in somebody who can be extremely useful to us. And some people say, well, if he's kind of like an Odegaard player, why are we getting him? Well, because we don't want to have a player like Martin Odegaard to start resting on their laurels and starting that way of their professional trajectory at the young age of 22. He needs to know that when he's having a stinker of a game, that he can't relax and say to himself, which I think that a lot of our players have thought, notwithstanding that, that they need to sort of like take more responsibility, but they can't have that attitude of being, well, I'm having a stinker, but it doesn't matter. I'll make up for it next week when I get picked.
yeah,
Because I'll be playing next week. I'm bound to be playing next week. And I'll have a blinding game then, and if this will all be forgotten. We can't have that. We need him thinking, well, if I don't pull my weight here, someone else is ready to step in. And then when that person steps in, it might be even more difficult for me to get back in. And for me, that's healthy, keeping
yeah,
players on their toes. So really pleased with the sound of what we're getting here. To me, it sounds like, from what I've been trying to research and find out, as I say, I didn't know nothing about this player, but from what I'm getting, it sounds to me that we're getting somebody in the mold of maybe a Santi Cazorla. What I mean by that is somebody that's really good with both feet, that can get the ball and maneuver and wriggle the ball out of really tight situations where you're like, bloody hell, he had all those players around him and he just managed to, he snuck out with the ball and he's now making something happen and he's left players behind him. If that's what we're getting, then I can see how that's going to be extremely useful to Arsenal. And the one thing I would say is, I'm one of these people, I'm always looking for looky likeys. He looks like such and such. He looks like that person. I've got to tell you, Fabio Vieira, to me, it's Teabag off of Prison Break, isn't it?
like,
Old
yeah,
Theodore Bagwell. He's
yeah,
a spit for Teabag. But really pleased that we got this guy in. And I'm really pleased, the way that it happened. We don't need to know everything. We don't
yeah.
need to know everything that's going on. And before I pass over to you guys, it just
Mhm.
reminds me of back in the days before social media when we only had the back pages of newspapers and
Yeah,
things like CFAX on BBC One or Oracle on the ITV. And I remember being on holiday in, I think, 95 in Ibiza. And I've told the story before. We came down, had our breakfast, and before we went to the pool, the missus wanted to go into the little gift shop to buy some sun cream. And while she was doing that, I picked up the newspaper and turned it to the back page. And there was a picture of Dennis Bergkamp holding up the jersey. That's
yeah,
how I found out that we'd signed Dennis Bergkamp. And the noise that I let out in that gift shop, I'm surprised that I wasn't ejected from the hotel but I managed to sort of explain to everyone that it was nothing to worry about. I was in a really good mood. So it just goes to show you, right, that we don't have to know everything. We don't have to have everything revealed to us. So
Yeah,
very pleased.
yeah, definitely, Gary. As Stan has mentioned, Fabio Vieira. I'm starting to sort of remember that name now.
Hey, and
Fabio Vieira.
we don't have to try and reinvent the wheel with a chant. We've got one that we can just recycle from Big Pat. So happy days.
Yeah, and looking back at this is a player that played with Luis Diaz, who Liverpool snapped up in January. So he provided some assists for Luis Diaz last season. He's had a great season, and maybe this is the strategy that Arsenal have to do. Some of their business have to be projects now. We're going to talk a little bit later about uh, the more sustainable signings that hopefully we can do. But Gary, a quick word on Fabio Vieira, not Tony Turner, but the other Turner, and Marquinhos. Young players, but could be exciting in a few years.
Yeah, so we'll start with Fabio. So yeah, the Fabio deal, I kind of like the way that deal went about, right? I mean, within 24 hours, or not even 24 hours. I
It's like
mean, I
pure
think,
stealth.
yeah, basically within like 12 hours from the time I think the time the news came out, which was probably around noon over here, and by 10 o'clock that evening over here, anyways. So in about 10, 12 hours, basically, we knew we had a player. There wasn't any like, well, they're going back and forth. There's this and that going on. No, no, no. It was basically name popped up on the screen. Arsenal's interested. Talks are going on. Next thing you know, there's a bed. Next thing you know, there's like this looks like it's going to happen, and then it's going to happen, and then it's we just need a medical, and he's going out for the medical. Bang, with that night, I think he already was in London to do the interview, to do the medical the next day or whatever. So
Yeah,
within 24 hours, I think he had done the medical, and then they wanted to hold back on whatever, they had to do whatever they had to do just to wait until they could truly push it out there to us. But we knew we had him, and by then everybody had to go figure out who he was. First thing we did was look at YouTube, of course, and you see the videos, and they all look good, of course. I mean, I believe, first, a lot of people said first thing about him is that he looks a little light. But the one thing I noticed from the way he was playing is that he got knocked down a lot, or got put a lot of but they put a lot of bodies on him. Whoever was there would try to put bodies on him, and he was able to sustain that and keep his body up or get back up off the ground and continue on with his business. Then you look at the stats, and you know he finished number one in terms of assists in that league.
14.
So I don't regardless of anything else you can say, if you're number one in like an assist or goals, you're doing pretty good, right?
I
And
think it was
that's what
something
we
like 30 goal involvements and 16
yeah
assists, something like that.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know what we're looking for if we're not looking for players like that, all right? And the fact that, like you said, Diaz was there before him and basically kept him on the bench, and then when he got his chance, voila, that's what you get. I mean, for me, I look at that and they talk about Cazorla, and I feel like when Cazorla came over to Arsenal, he was a player that didn't play much, right? I think he was at Barcelona, and you knew the name a little bit.
Oh,
I don't know how
Malaga.
different it,
Malaga,
huh?
was it?
Oh,
Malaga.
Mardiga, but I don't think
Mhm.
he played as much, if I recall. There wasn't like a, he was a. It seemed to me, anyways. Maybe I had my information wrong, but I just, we got a player that I didn't feel like was playing that much, and had a lot that was backing up what he brought to the table, and we saw how that went. So I'll take it, and he looks really good. Like you said, he'll push Erdogan. And the one thing I find interesting is that everybody's okay with him pushing Erdogan, but then if you want to push Saka or Martinelli or Milsruf Rowe, that's kind of a problem. You know what I mean? That's kind of a problem. It's like, no, those guys need to know what it takes to do the job, and they didn't have anybody actually able to come on and maybe show them how to do it, get it done. So I kind of feel like, and that's what we want, right? I want to be strong too deep, right? We need to be able to look at the number one the number one player at every position coming off the bench and feel like, you know what, we're not gonna take a step back. And I think that's what he brings. So he'll bring something a little bit different than Erdogan, but I feel like he'll bring some good creativity there in the middle, and maybe a little bit more aggressiveness and strength that we're lacking sometimes that we see from the youngsters when they're out there. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Be really good, really good. I think it's just it's I've been talking about depth. He definitely brings it, and potentially he could be a starter based on what he does in the preseason. So we'll take it, and then now we just need to move on to other spots on the pitch and do the same thing, right? Either push somebody to the bench or get somebody right behind them ready to come in. So I'll take it all day. This is what we want. So welcome to the family, Fabio, and we'll see how it all pans
Welcome
out.
to the family,
Yeah.
Fabio.
A
Yeah,
couple of other things as well.
Yeah.
I was listening to Statman Dave, and if you ever want to find out about a player that's coming to your team, or how your team is going to perhaps the formation for the following season with who they have, Statman Dave knows his onions. There's no doubt about it. And looking at what he was saying, yes, Vieira is kind of in the same area of the pitch where Odegaard would be. He can also play off of a striker as well as a second, behind the striker, kind of in a sort of a Bergkamp role, if you will. But also as well, he was saying that he can play deeper into the midfield. So if we found ourselves in a situation and we had to play, perhaps when we played Odegaard a little bit deeper next to Partey, but coming more forward, and he didn't look quite comfortable there, he can also go in that role too. So there's a little bit of versatility about him. And what you said there, Ray, about Diaz as well. I mean, I've noticed now that Portugal does seem to be a hotbed for players that seem to come over to the Premier League
do quite well.
and they thrive. There's so many names now that you can look at from Portugal. So, it does bode well for us. One thing I would say, though, as well, some people, yes, I understand that we all have difference of opinions. We like this player. We don't like that player. We want this player to stay. We want that player to go. But I saw someone tweeting out, I think it was just over a week ago, and he was basically saying, Mikel and Adu don't know what they're doing. They're bringing in a couple of losers like Marquinhos and Fabio Vieira. And I just thought to myself, how the fuck would you even know? How would you know if they're even any good? Because I don't know anybody that knows anything about Marquinhos. Really, nothing at all.
No,
same with Fabio Vieira. So why are we condemning people before they've even kicked a ball in anger? I just don't understand that. Did we know anything about Gabriel Martinelli when he arrived? All we knew is that we were getting a player that Man United had turned down. Right? You can wrap something up and label something however you want to word it. But we love him. He's ours, right? I'm thank God that he didn't get taken on by Man United, because we've got a real gem on our hands, and you never know. The same thing could be said for Marquinhos. And with the numbers that Vieira's put up, it looks to me that he's going to be able to make a contribution. Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say hello to everybody in the chat. Speaks Gunner, Ray Anderson, Mr. Tom.
Alonso.
I saw Alonso just joined us, and welcome to the show. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. I don't know. Is there anything else? Is there anything else?
In the words of Fabrizio Romano, here we go. This is the most exciting window of the Emirates era, says BX Gunner. I personally like the way the club seems to be moving, and if Arteta has any influence over the owners in KSC, a lot of things are happening. He wants players in, he wants them on time, and that should make a lot of us happy, because we know what happened last summer leading up to the first game of the season. We were not ready. Fabio Vieira is a good one. Come in, job done very quickly, and hopefully that's a sign of our business moving forward.
What are your thoughts, Ryan, those two, Marquinhos and Fabio? I mean, looking at the positions that they're sort of going to be occupying in the team, what do you reckon?
So Marquinhos is a little bit of a winger, right, on the right side. He looks exciting. I don't think he's going to get much game time this coming season, but he could be one. He is only 19 years old.
Maybe start him off pre-season and early cup games. If he looks like he can swim a little bit, keep him. If not, loan him out.
Yeah, and definitely he'll get to be on the substitutes bench for some of the Carabao games, maybe Europa League games as well. As you and Gary have been saying, it looks like we're building a squad here, so we have two players for most positions, and
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
there's 3.5 months of football to be done, Gary, with pretty much 22 games. I think there's six Europa League games and 16 league games, couple of Carabao Cup games. So we've got about 24 games coming at us up until the World
Yeah.
Cup starts.
I guess I wonder what they saw in Marquinhos and what they haven't seen from Balogun, because to me they both seem to be in that same. I'm not. I don't know
Well,
what
I
we're
think
expecting.
Balogun is a striker, and Marquinhos could be potentially a winger
Wide.
on wide. Yeah,
Right,
No,
or
I
left.
know, but
Say
I don't
lefty.
know what. I don't. His stats and the amount of time he's been on the field doesn't look like there's much to see there, right? It's not like he's scored. He hasn't even scored like 10 goals in his
no,
career, right?
no,
So
he
I mean, I
hasn't
think he
played a
scored
lot.
like 1 goal or something like that. Played in 3 games or something like that. So to me, it's a project. I don't.
Mhm.
I don't see him as much. If he's a project, then he's going out on loan. I don't really see the need to try to figure out how to trying to give him time when I don't see from the numbers whether or not he what they
Uh,
could have saw from
and
him
you know what?
that would that
Wolves
that
had him earmarked, Gary, for going out on loan.
Pre-contract, was it? They actually signed a pre-contract
Well,
with
yeah,
him.
they pre-contract, and they were going to send him out on loan. So that's not a bad shout, Gary. It's just that we may have more games to give him.
no, I know. I'm just saying we have youth that can get those games too. So I don't. I mean, so for
Also, as
me, I don't.
well. Sorry, Gary. I didn't mean to cut you off, mate.
No, good.
Sorry,
No,
Gary.
I just for me,
I
for
wasn't
me,
going to cut you off just to say hello to the
He's
chat
just
box. I wouldn't do
building up
that to
ahead
you.
of steam.
I wouldn't step on you, Gary, just to say hello to the chat box. But,
Did I do that? I'm sorry.
yeah. I was like, oh, Gary's coming in with a pearl of wisdom. Go on, Gary. He's like, I just want to say hello to the chat box. So,
Right?
I hear
Gotta
you.
say hello to
Sorry,
him.
sorry.
Gotta say
No,
hello
no.
to
I
him.
was just gonna say I kind of feel like it's a risk. It's not a risk. It's not a risk monetarily or anything like that. I just think it's a body that we don't. I even say that I don't see how we're going to get to use him as much as we need to get him ready for whenever he's going to hit that hit that point in his career where you're going to get a lot of minutes from him and really see what he can do. Um, we're bringing in like for me, you're bringing in like a Fabio who's leading his league in assists. If we're looking at some of the other players that we have, they all bring something else to the table. Just another project. I don't think we have the space for another project, and that's what it is to me. I think we've got enough youth, and we've seen how they've worked. But they were coming, some of them were coming in from the academy, so they had games coming in. If he comes here and he's kind of sitting 2-3 deep on the bench, most like it could be 3 deep on the bench, depending on who we have coming in. Is he going to get what he needs? And I understand. Like, and I don't get the whole we're spending money on him because maybe in the future there'll be another player that we can get from them. Okay, okay. I kind of get that. I don't really, but I can see what they're planning. Can see what they're trying to do. I don't see the need for that.
Yeah.
It just it's not much money. It's not going to affect us in the long term. But if it's a risk that works out, then I'll take it. So that's my only thing with it. I kind of feel like it's a project, and I don't think we have time for more projects because we
Uh,
still need to. We want to get right. You want to get our youth. We want to get Saka, Martinelli, and Milsufro and Erdegaard up to that point where they're like, some of the top players in the league. If they're
yeah,
going to be that,
yeah.
we'll figure that out
I
soon
will.
enough.
The only thing I will say is you have to build for the future, and this will be a player that could be integrated in 2-3 years from now. We
We'll
didn't
see
know.
2 to 3 years from now. See, that's not what we should be spending our time.
you've got to have a couple of those in your
That's
back
What
pocket,
was what was
Have a
Martinelli
couple.
doing 3 years ago? Aren't you happy Martinelli's in the team now?
4 years ago,
No.
he was like playing keepy up with watermelons barefoot in the street. Now look at him.
Yeah, I mean this
Yeah.
this is what you want to do if you want to have sustained
Yeah, but
growth.
I don't. Yeah,
Gary.
but yeah, I that was probably was a risk back then, or I just
Look at
right now.
Liverpool. Liverpool are
Yeah,
doing that now. They bought Carvalho last season
yeah,
to integrate him into the team this
Yeah.
season.
All I'm saying is what's most important to us right now is
Mhm.
how deep the too deep setup. Like we need to have, like if we're going to have 22 players or whatever the number is behind our starters, those numbers need to be players that are going to get playing time regardless. Not like, well, we'll save them for the cup games. No, I believe we need players that this guy's out for injury, sickness, card. We don't see a drop off, right? He's not right now a player that's going to fill in based on what I believe he brings to us right now. So
But
not yeah.
he's bound to be good though. I mean, he's a Brazilian that's only got one name, and they're always good. I mean,
is that how it works?
That's for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Twiggy.
Usually-
It's like Twiggy or Cher. One name. Look what if one name
Yeah.
straight to the top.
They usually work out pretty well. BX kind of want to know, is there any word on Balogun staying or another loan? I believe that decision will be made toward the end of the window.
After
I think
pre-season,
I think
maybe.
he gets a preseason with
Yeah.
Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
So
You want to
And
look.
then-
You want to get him back to pre-season and see with your own eyes. Do I see improvement in his game? Those areas that I've been talking to him about before he went on loan. Has he managed to improve on those?
Exactly. So listen,
Mr. Tom's patiently waiting, isn't he? Just keep him waiting right to the end about.
let's
about
not
what's
even
going
talk
on.
about. Let's not even talk about that
he's
guy.
waiting.
Let's
We're talking
keep him
about
waiting.
Raphinha tonight. Yes, we are. We are definitely talking about Raphinha
If we
tonight.
talk about
No more
Raphinha
Brazilian
now,
talk. That's it. No more Brazilian talk for the rest of the show.
If we
They'll
talk
be
about
very-
Raphinha now, then he'll just tune out afterwards. But if we save it to the end, then we keep a viewer to the end, right?
Let me see. We have an
That works.
Argentine. We have, if we can't talk Brazilians, we have an Argentine to talk about. We have, who else is there?
Got an American.
We got an American, Turner. Yeah. But then
Can I say something about this guy? I
Right
was
after
listening. I was listening to Not Another Arsenal podcast on Monday. Mikey Hertz,
Yep.
with Kelly and Guna 318, I believe, and they were talking. And obviously, again,
312.
yeah, they're an American podcast, and they knew a little bit about him. And one of the things that I heard was that I think it was Kelly that was saying that in the MLS, he's probably one of the best shot stoppers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I just picked up on. Other than that, don't know anything about him. Other than he was signing some shirts recently, and a cheeky guy in a Tottenham shirt leaned over and gave him a shirt to sign. And quick as a flash, he noticed, looked at the guy and just went,
Yeah.
"Nah."
He was.
Moved on to the next guy.
He was.
So
smart.
what a
He was
start!
smart. Yeah.
What a start!
If we need those kind of reactions between the sticks as well when he's playing. Rebut
Ramsdale gave him the thumbs up on that one for sure. It's
That
like,
was
yeah,
nice.
there you go, good job. So
All right, so Fabio Vieira, Turner. I'm gonna keep calling him Tony Turner in a second. Yeah, good shot stopper, but we do need him to be able to play out from the back a little bit as well. Do we have another Leno type goalkeeper on our hands as the second choice? That's going to be the question. All right, so that's 3 in the door, and Fabio Vieira one happened very, very fast, which was great to see Arsenal moving for once and for all that way.
I've got visions of Adu dressed as a ninja running over rooftops at night to get to wherever it is he's got to sign for the deal to happen.
All right, so where are we? Next one up, let's talk about Gabriel Jesus, Gary.
Another Brazilian.
Yeah, another Brazilian. So I believe
another project. See, I don't like all this. These another project.
this is not.
Should we just
project.
call Arsenal Brazil FC or something from now on? I mean, it's a short. I love it though. I love this Brazil feeling though. Do you, Gary? I've always growing up, right? Brazil, the way the flair, the way they play their football. I mean, I think it's an experiment, and I hope it works.
Yes.
Well,
the fact that you look at
it.
if we're able to complete the deals that we have available to us, we're going to have 3 attackers from the Brazilian national team. All right, so you can't go too long with that, right?
So Mr. Tom's comment, he says, being the best shot stopper in the MLS is like being the nicest guy in prison.
Teabag and Javier.
That's not true. That's not true at all. Come on, you're nah.
Teabag Javier. If you're too nice,
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
All
Matt,
right,
you might want to say he's the guy that got he's in prison for going too fast or something like that. He was just speeding at a really high rate. But nah, he's not the nicest guy. Come on, stop that. He basically turned his nose up at a player from that team, a fan from that team. Says can't be nice doing that. But now I kind of feel like Jesus. I'm glad we're getting really close. I'm hoping to hear the medical's coming soon. You know what I mean? Because that's
yeah,
Is he
where.
one that you
definitely.
want, Gary? Because a lot of there's a lot of fans are going, but this guy and that guy, and a lot of people aren't sure about Gabriel. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely happy with him. I know there was talk between him and Sterling, and I don't think we can go wrong with either. I just think Sterling costs a lot more, so that might hinder us a little bit in terms of salaries. I think his salary is a lot higher. So, and I believe his fees are also higher. But I think Jesus would work. I would like to, yeah. Right now, all I want to see, and I've been saying it, and it's always I'm a broken record. I need to improve on what we got. Right now, we've got zero. Right? Well, sorry,
It's not hard, is it?
we've got, and sorry, sorry. We've got Enkedia, but we need to improve on that. Right? And I
Yeah,
believe Jesus is definitely an improvement, if not a better fit, if he's going to play up top, right? I think out on the wing, out wide, he can do that as well, just as good as any of our players. Definitely any of our players. So he could he'll slot in right there. I think if I recall, somebody was contemplating maybe you know what, maybe he pushes Mart, Martinez to the Gabby to the bench. You know,
Martinelli.
Martinelli to the bench, and then Nketiah starts up top, right? Which I kind of I don't feel like I wouldn't want to see that, but there's a possibility that could happen, especially in some games. So I kind of feel like that's a good one for us to bring in. Looking forward to see what he can do. I just want to. I kind of feel like just finish the deal, please. You know what the number is. What's the back and forth for? Just finish it up because you have other, and then there's like two or three other more deals out there for us, and we still have to have players that need to get out of here, right? So get this one done, get the next one done, and then let's see what we can do about cleaning house as well. I think it'll be good to bring him in. He comes in with what his 8 and 8. I think is what he brought to the table. 8 goals, 8 assists.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
one what I would say is limited time playing. Like they don't play him as much. He'll get more time with us, um, and he'll hopefully show some of the youngsters what to do as well. Because if he's bringing what Arteta's trying to talk into his club, then he knows it back and from the back and the front, right? So, it'd be really perfect for us to bring him in. So yeah, I'll take him.
Ray
I'll take.
Anderson said, I had a friend that said he won't support Arsenal as there are no Brazilians in the club. That was when Emery just took over only a few short years ago. Now, I bet Ray's friend is supporting Arsenal.
Well, it was
Um,
yes,
bringing
Martinelli came
Marcelo on a
during that
free.
time too, right?
Yeah. With Sterling, either Eddie starts most of the matches or Sterling plays as false nine. And, Sterling's an older player. He's got 1 year left in his contract. And I think this is the way things are going to go now, Stan, in the Premier League. We're going to get, I think a lot of players are going to stay within the Premier League and we're going to get cast offs from Liverpool and Manchester City. And it's starting to happen already with Sterling probably going to Chelsea, Jesus going to Arsenal, most likely.
I don't like the term cast off because for me that kind of implies that they're like yesterday's news. They're not any good. They're washed up. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that Gabriel Jesus fits that profile at all. Something interesting about Gabriel Jesus is there was an article that I think I mentioned it to you, Ray, during the week that Tom Vickery was
Yeah,
talking about Gabriel Jesus. And if you don't know
yeah,
who Tim Vickery is, he's quite a well-known football journalist, has contacts here and there. And he was talking about how when Gabriel Jesus was in the beginnings of his senior call-up to the Brazilian squad, the Brazilian manager was sort of asking to him, so they were talking during training, and he asked him, where do you prefer to play? And being sort of like as polite as you can, he just basically said, "I don't mind where I play, and I'm happy to be involved, right?" And then the manager got quite cross with him and says, "You must have a preference, right? Come on,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be trying to be all polite. Tell me where." And he said that, "Well, I actually prefer to play out wide." And I listened to that. I thought that's quite interesting. But I have to think that if Mikel Arteta knows what he wants to buy. Yeah, he knows what it is that he wants, and he knows what hole he wants to put the peg into. And if we're going to go out and spend the kind of money that we're going to spend on a player that's coming into the last year of their contract, and we're going to offer him a salary, which I've heard is reported somewhere in between 220 to 240 a week, I would have to think that the manager would have sat down with the player and told him what his plans are for him, and asked that player as well, how do you see yourself in that system? Right. So I don't see it as that we're buying a player and we're going to try and force him into playing in a position that he doesn't feel comfortable in. I also think that looking at the Brazil squad at the moment, there's a very good opportunity for Gabriel Jesus to feature through the middle for them, not on the wing for them. I think they've got plenty of options on the wing. Coming to Arsenal and knowing that he's going to get that start through the middle, it gives him a clear run now to get some games under his belt and show the Brazil manager what he can do from that position. Because some people say that his numbers aren't all that for last season, but you have to remind them that for a lot of that season, he was starting out wide with somebody else playing through the middle. And you have to look at when it came to the big games, the big games which were considered big for Man City, Pep picked him.
Yep, against Liverpool,
he
played
picked
those
him.
games.
So there's a reason. There is a reason for that.
Arguably, Stan, he did score the equalising goal against Liverpool at the Etihad in April. So arguably, he won the league from City. When you look at that,
no argument. There's no argument. No argument with me at all. I think that this is a player that you could see matches where we could have somebody else playing through the middle, and Gabriel could still be in that team. He's just not. He doesn't have to be rooted to only playing at a number 9. And if you play him anywhere else, you're playing a player that's out of position. You're not going to get the best out of him. My only upset with this is this. As happy as I am that we're bringing in Gabriel, and we've still got Eddie, and I'm sure we're going to touch on that in more detail in a moment, I do feel a little bit shortchanged because if I look at the roster that we had, we let Lacazette and Aubameyang go, and we're only replacing one of them in my eyes. Gabriel is coming in. Eddie is still here. Balogun is still here. We're still one short in my eyes because I think there's a very good chance that Balogun may need to go out on loan again. So that means that we're only going to have Gabriel, Jesus, and then Nketiah.
Yeah.
So should we be bringing in another striker that either fits in between Jesus and Eddie? Or has Eddie moved up a rung on the ladder and we should be looking at bringing in somebody that was in Eddie's place in between Lacazette and Balogun? Do you see what I'm getting at? If you look at the pieces of like a jigsaw puzzle, if he's moved up one, doesn't someone else come in on the conveyor belt and slot in behind in that place? So I still feel that we are, as much as I'm happy with Jesus, I feel shortchanged. Well, and I feel like we're being hoodwinked a little bit by the club. They're not taking me for an idiot. I can count. I can see how many went out in that position. Do you know what I mean? And I'm counting how many's coming in, and I'm like, oh, you shortchanged me here.
We'll get to Eddie in a little bit in a few minutes, but I want to sort of stick on Gabriel Jesus for a little bit and reply to your comments, Dan. Some would say Aubameyang and Lacazette never really worked together. I take your point totally. We've got one player coming in, Gabriel Jesus, to replace Lacazette and Aubameyang who've left. And some will say
4 competitions. We want to be involved in 4 competitions. I'm worried it's not enough.
And we're going to delve into a little bit later is how much money does Arsenal have? How deep are the pockets? You know what I mean?
We don't actually care, right? Remember, we don't really care. It's not our money.
What it is,
we don't.
Right? Kroenke's got a money tree on one of his ranches, right? And every now and again, he just goes out there and gives it a good old shake.
Yeah. No, I mean, we should have spent money during COVID time, and I don't think we spent it. Well, then maybe we're spending it now, but unless we want to compete in those four fronts, as they say, we need players.
Mhm.
We need players, and if we're going to push players out on loan, that means they weren't they weren't options for us. So I can't see how you can then how we can say we can use some of these players coming back right when we could have just used them
But
last season and we
you
didn't.
can, but they wouldn't. They're not going to be options for us this season. But you can
What
send the
that's what I
player out
just
on
said.
loan and come
That's
back
what I that's what I'm saying. I'm saying most of the players out on loan aren't coming back because
the one.
if
Yeah,
we
the ones
needed
that
them, we
are
would
out
have
there.
just kept them right in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
The only one that we really put out there and with the intent of definitely bringing him back if it panned out was Saliba, right? That's the only player that we put out there that we said, if it works, then that's good. He's a player to come back and
Uh,
play for us.
yeah.
There's
I mean,
nobody else really out there.
the evidence is there, Gary. Torreira has done well. Doesn't like he's going to come back. Doesn't look like he's going to come back. Hector Bellerin's won a trophy. He's not coming
Yeah.
back.
Well, I mean, those are players we didn't want,
Want. Yeah.
right? So for me, nothing should have changed in basically based on whether we keep them or not because we didn't want them in the first place. Yes, they went out and they did successful because they realized their time here, I believe, is short. So they went out there and then they were professional about it. And, like I said, some of them got to play for championships or some of them actually won, sorry, cups. Some of them actually won, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so there you go. See ya. Have fun. We move on, right? Maitland Niles won a trophy, right,
Yep.
from the
FA Cup.
bench, and
How long was I away
he's
for? I thought we were talking about Gabriel Jesus.
no
No,
just
no, we're gonna bring it.
yeah.
We're gonna bring it back. Yeah. So the loans. And Ray, we're gonna talk about Raphinha in a little bit. If Raphinha comes in, then he will have someone to play, someone that can play close to the striker role too. Yeah. Okay. Let's stay with Jesus a little bit.
Is that cheeky
The
Boddertons there, Gary? Is that the
first,
old,
Huh?
is that a Boddertons? Is that a Boddertons? Yeah, man. Just a question, right? How do you know about Boddertons? Because to me, right, it's known as for me. I've always thought it was very within England, and it does
Yeah,
come from like the north.
I lived in Boston, and when one of the pubs we would go to, because I worked for a British company, so everybody and so we'd always drink a lot. So we went to a pub,
Yeah, we do
and
like
it
to do
had
that.
and it had Boddingtons on
liquid
tap there,
lunches.
which was really good. Or I had cans, I can't remember. And then I actually went to Toronto, and the hotel I stayed in, which was across the street from the is it the State Building? Is that the one with the ponds?
I think
I
so.
feel like
I've only been to Toronto once.
yeah. So in Toronto, there was this hotel right across the street, and they had an old it had an Irish pub in the bottom of it, and I spent a
Mhm.
lot of time there. And I talked about Boddingtons all the time. So they eventually went out and got a pony keg of Boddingtons, and
While you were
basically they
there,
said, yeah, I would go there every week
you got some point, yeah.
for
You got to
business.
come out drinking with me.
So eventually after a while they just said, you keep talking about it, so we'll go get a keg. So they actually got a small keg. Basically
That's
they
what
said
Gary does. He
I drank
talks
about
about things
90%
and
of it.
he
So
breaks people down eventually. That's what he does.
They're like, he's never going to shut up about it. Let's just get him a keg. God, I'm tired of hearing about
so
it.
they got a
Boddingtons.
keg. They got a
What is
keg for me.
Boddingtons?
So it was cool. Every night after work, that's where I went after my meal to have a couple of drinks before I went to bed.
Nice.
You'll have to tell me the
So
name of this place because next time I'm in Toronto, I'll just go in there and just drive them mad about special brew.
uh,
They'll be like, "You mean Gary?
See if they get
We
a
know
keg
Gary."
creating for me.
yeah. No,
Gary
it was
told me.
like
Gary told me.
yeah.
Gary
No,
sent me.
I don't know.
We know Gary.
Oh, Gary, right. You should have said. No problem. Gets down when he wants. Yeah.
The Gary said, Arsenal are going for it. Make no mistake about it. People will say otherwise, but Edu or Tata are going for the title or a trophy. Yeah, hopefully in time we got to get there. You know what I mean?
What
Gotta
I
get
wanted
there.
to say about Gabriel Jesus as well is
Yeah, let's
that
stick with it.
I think when he first went to Manchester City, I think it was kind of like there was an impression that he was going to be a very, very soon he would be a successor to Sergio Aguero. And I kind of got the feeling that when Pep went into Man City that there were certain aspects of what he wanted his main person through the middle to do that he didn't think Aguero was doing. And I think he kind of made an idea that he brought in Gabriel and there would be a changeover. But Sergio Aguero, being the professional that he is, probably I think took on board what he thought the deficiencies were in his game, according to Pep, his manager, and he improved on them and kept Gabriel out of the team for a lot longer than probably what was scheduled, right? So he's been shown a lot of love now by Arsenal. He knows, Mikel Arteta knows the guy. There's no excuses if it doesn't work out, because he knows this guy and he knows him, and we're showing him a lot of love, and we're doing it financially by giving him a good deal as well. So it's all laid on for him. He's been set up to succeed as far as I can see. So it's down to him, and I say the versatility of being able to play him not just through the middle. This is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit irked that we're not going to bring in another striker. Who knows? Maybe we will. Who knows? The window's still open. But as it stands at the moment, there's been no links. We don't know if they're doing another Fabio Vieira with Victor Osimhen for, but it does. We're going to touch on Eddie. I still think we're one light.
The winning bug, I think, has bitten the Cronkies. Hopefully, collecting championships may be contagious. And we're going to get into the KSC.
Winning is contagious, right?
We're going to get into the KSC franchise form a little bit later as well. This is the biggest sign of intent from Arsenal to contend in 18 years. I was born in 71. Arsenal had to wait 18 years till 89. And from 2004 to now, it's been 18 years. So it's past due, Arsenal.
Sorry, I thought you said for a moment there that we were going to discuss the KFC franchise model, which is quite easy. You just get a store and they send you the chicken, and that's it.
We'll get into that in a little bit. Gary, it's hard to know what you're going to expect, but I told my ear earlier today, everybody's numbers are going to go up. If Gabriel Jesus comes in, I expect Martinelli's numbers to go up. Erdegaard's going to get more goals, and Jesus is going to get more goals. Saka, I think he's going to start connecting the dots that Lacazette couldn't do for us.
Yeah, well, coming into this season, right, we didn't have, how many double-figure goal scorers did we have? Maybe Aubameyang and Lacazette and Pepe, right?
Not a lot.
And how many of them got us double figures this year?
0.
So I think, I'm only expecting us to improve, and so that's Martinelli's turn now to become the new double-digit scorer, and maybe even Erdegaard based on what he's been doing. So it'd be really nice to have 4 players with over 10 goals, right? Especially that youth. And then if you bring in a Jesus, can only get better, right? So
their goals go down, but their assists go up because they've got someone in front of them who's doing more than what Lacazette was doing. Maybe they're not shouldering as much as what they were doing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think just inherently they're going to get more goal. I believe their finishing is going to improve. So even though their chances might go down, I think they could still get similar numbers, right? And like you said, now they don't. If Jesus is the one that's running through the middle there, and they are able to connect with him, maybe he's getting 20 plus goals this year, and we're laughing, right? Because that's what I believe that's in there. Whether he hasn't had the opportunities and the time on the field to do it, but we'll give it to him if that's what he wants, right? So, it'd be really nice to see a team with a large number of goals coming through that top of the hopefully gone are the days where we're talking about, well, you know what, a defender has 5 goals, right? Nah, that can't happen anymore, right? So we've got it more that if we bring in Jesus, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out, and I expect Martinelli to be a lot better when he's on the pitch, right? If he's seen anything from Milsroof Row and what we saw in the second half with Saka, if he just improves there, and then you've got Jesus either playing behind, pushing him, or playing, to the left of him, essentially, then I think I'm gonna take that. So our scoring should definitely go up as a team for sure, and a lot more from the front end once we get the ball to them. That's just the key there.
The only thing we lacked last season was goals, says BX Gunner. We're about to fix that. I believe that'll happen if we get Jesus in. I still want Richarlison. BX Gunner said, I'm a little bit put off by Richarlison. I think he's a bit of a nutter. You know what I mean? I think he might be a bit of a header, if you know what I mean, Stan.
2 other accolades about Gabriel Jesus that I've picked picked up on since he's been in the press a lot now, and everyone's, when a player like that is moving, people start talking. There's a lot of football players and ex-football players that refer to him as one of the best pressing forward in the world.
Yep.
Not in Europe or in Pontefract, you know what I mean? In the world. Yeah, which is quite an accolade, and I've heard it being said by quite a few different people. The other thing that I liked was a story that I heard that he was once compared when he was bursting onto the scene. He was once compared to the original Ronaldo, the Brazilian, the one with the gap tooth. He was once compared to him. Do you know he made that comparison? Ronaldo. He said that he really reminds him of me. So maybe this guy hasn't even reached his full potential yet. So I just wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, and look, there's a situation where Jesus where he wants to step out from.
Although his form does lack over Easter, but that's another story.
He wants to step out of the shadows. Pep Guardiola has been playing a lot of midfielders in his team. Jesus has had to do things for the good of the team. Now I think Arteta is going to license him with purely being charged with going to get goals for Arsenal, getting on the end of things. We all know the positions where Lacazette could have been last season, especially that Burnley game. He should have been there to tap that ball in. And I think Gabriel Jesus can do that for us. Now, maybe he gets 20 goals across all competitions, but to say he could get 20 goals in the Premier League, I think is a big ask for me. He's not that top level player.
Look at Bobby Firmino though. Look at the role that when not so much now because he's not in the team as much, but when Bobby Firmino was in the Liverpool team a lot, look at the role that he kind of played and how he did. He chipped in with some important goals. I mean, he came on recently and scored against us. A lot of assists, but also helping to bring the best out of Mane and Salah. So the way that the game is changing, so it seems to me, sometimes you might not have a style of play where you're going to get a striker that plays and scores 20, 25 goals in the league because the style of play is now different. They're pressing, they're coming deep, they're causing mistakes to other people to pick up on scrappy balls and score. So as long as that happens, either the wingers go down a little bit, but their assists go up and he's a goal machine, or he's pinging it about, but he's also being able to get on the end of things, get assists. And he probably gets maybe say like somewhere between 12 to 15 goals, but the assists are right up there
in the league. Yeah,
and in goal involvements as well.
Yeah, and I think he can chip in the other competitions as well. The Europa League, we should get through the group stages and into the new year. The Europa League is probably going to be one of those competitions we should seek to win this coming season as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. The pressure is going to build on everyone at Arsenal because we're looking like we're going to get players in who are going to help us, and with that will come expectation. You know what I mean? Who's played more games for England, Bamford or Jesus? Enough said, lads.
Yeah, I mean, with this thing, he was the second by 0.01 in regards to goal contributions for City. Right, Sterling was just behind him by a bit. So
really,
yeah, I had to look that. I was looking that up just as you were speaking there. But
nice.
He's just so based on that, he's going to bring it to Arsenal where his opportunities are going to be more, right? Because we're expecting him to bring a lot more than what he had. He should be easily a double guy for us, right? Yep. Easily. He did 8 and 8 for them, and he's going to get more opportunities with us. So we would expect to see at least a double from him, no problem. All right. So we'll see that, and we as a team we're going to get better, which means you should see a lot more opportunities for him. So
yeah. Around
one thing as well. On another note, I mentioned Victor Osimhen a second ago. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's had his passport seized by the police in Italy. Something to do with his transfer to the team in Napoli. So he ain't going anywhere.
How great would it be to see Reece Nelson have a breakout season after a good loan? Would add another attacker. It remains to be seen what happens with these players that come back from loan. Um, so Jesus, it has gone from agreeing terms between the player and Arsenal to now Arsenal agreeing on a fee between Manchester City
His
and
wife just
Arsenal.
had a baby as well, I believe. So he's just come back from international duty. His wife just had a chavvy. So, then again, though, I mean, it's not like he had the baby. You can still pick up a pen and sign a piece of paper. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe I'm giving him a free pass.
So things are moving. I feel really really confident that Jesus will be official, and a running theme tonight will be that team down the road trying to gazump us and trying to because I believe there was an effort from Tottenham to sneak in there and try to turn Jesus's head.
Because that team down the road don't actually have a scouting department. And let's think about it. Why would you waste the money on a scouting department when you can just sit back, see who Arsenal are interested in, and then go after them? It's cheaper.
Yeah. I believe the relationship with Arteta, the feeling that there's an open spot for him to walk right into, pretty much, as a striker for Arsenal. And any other words on Jesus, Gary, before we move on to Eddie?
No, I'm looking forward to having that thing closed, that deal closed, so we can move on to our next deal. I mean,
I mean,
I,
I have a feeling that there's a couple of players that we're interested in that we are in good position with, but we
What's
just
the
haven't
reported fee for
yet.
Jesus, lads? I just can't remember. What has he read anywhere what it says that we're actually laying down for him? How much?
55.
Euros or pounds?
I think it's 55 euros. Am I right in saying that, Gary?
Million euros, not
I think
55 euros.
so.
I just
Yeah,
spent
because I think
55 euros a night
because I think
when I
it's
was in Amsterdam.
47. I think it's 47 pounds, right? So 55 and 50, 55 and 15
Euros.
is the
That's the
yeah is the
Raphinha. That's the
is the.
Raphinha one.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You're right. I'm gotten these two numbers. All right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Listen, Manchester City
Is it more
wants to
than
get
50 million, do you think? Is it more than 50 million for,
Manchester
for
City
Gabriel
want to
Jesus?
get 95 million euros from both Sterling and Jesus. That's what Manchester City want to get from those two sales.
They want to get what?
They want to get 95 from the combined Sterling and Jesus.
So that's, why can't they have, I don't know, 10 from us and 80 for
that would be really nice.
Where do I sign up for that one, Stan? I'll take that all day long. Yeah. But yeah, confidence level, Gary, without everything being signed, sealed.
For me, I feel like this is an 85% that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, just get it done.
I feel more confident than that. Even Stan, you're quite confident Jesus is going to be probably our number one striker.
Yeah, and I just think that the Mikel Arteta link is the clincher there. He knows this guy, and
you feel comfortable.
I think that when Mikel Arteta was working there as a coach, I remember reading articles. Sterling was one of them. Fewer players talking about how they enjoyed being coached by Mikel Arteta. So, and probably as well, Pep's probably told him that's where you're going, mate. Pep tells them you're going there. All right, no,
it'd be so nice. It'd be so nice. You just go to Arsenal. It'd be so nice.
You go back to Mikel.
He score many goals. It'd be so nice. It'd be so nice. Well, listen, City and Liverpool. There's a gap for us to hopefully try to close that gap on, and let's hope Gabriel Jesus can help us with that moving forward. Now, the player that's going to be closely linked to Gabriel Jesus, I think he's very similar in style. He's already was an Arsenal player, was a free agent, was going to be a free agent, but we got him to sign eventually on 100,000 a week. And I believe, Eddie Nketiah wants to step forward. He wants to be recognized as that striker at Arsenal. And, he wants the prestige of that shirt. That shirt does have gravity. It is number 14. But let's not get it twisted either. It is a shirt, and it's just a player that's going to be wearing the shirt. I know this is something that's going to trigger a few people. But, Thierry Henry wearing the number 14 shirt had nothing to do with Theo Walcott wearing the 14 or anyone else who wore the 14 after him. Thierry Henry's legacy is not threatened by Eddie and Nketiah wearing the number 14. It's on Eddie. It's on Eddie to step up to that level, and he knows the shirt that he's taking. He knows the number that he's going to get. Who wants to follow me next?
Ron, I was going to say. I mean, I know I've seen some of what Stan has had to say, and I saw something today recently that Eddie talked about why he wanted the 14, which is
I
against
didn't see that
everything.
interview. What was it
Ye-
like, Gary?
Yeah, somebody quoted him saying that why he wanted the 14. He said it means a lot to me. I joined the club at the age of 14. I wore 14 on loan at Leeds and even lived at number 14 at one point.
Hmm.
When the opportunity came up to take it,
I've shagged 14 birds so far in my life.
it was hard to say no. I know what it means to the club and the fans. So I kind of feel like
I lost my virginity at
everybody,
14.
yeah, I think everybody
Started
thinks it's
smoking at 14.
All right,
Stan's got a lot of 14s. Yeah,
we're going to
Nah,
tease this out when Gary's done with his.
no, I'm just saying. I kind of feel like he's got his reason for 14. Everybody else, a lot of the fans have a reason for the 14. I guess I was also on that. Like, well, you don't need 14 just yet. That shouldn't be the make it or break it on the deal. And it seemed like it had to be part of the deal for him to sign. And I just feel like giving a player the number shouldn't be part of any contract. Just like I don't feel like a player should be asking for minutes and
Well,
have that built into their contract.
you want to see that ambition from a player, though.
The ambition is fine, but I don't think it needs to be in the contract.
Hmm.
Right? I want to hear that a player is going to play with a heart and determination, but they don't need to write that into the contract, right? Those are things you expect to have. And I want this number. All right, let's see what we can do.
You
about
will
that
play
number for
with
you.
your heart, and then you have to cut them, and they have to drip it onto the thing. Yeah, okay.
So yeah, no. So I kind of feel like so for me, I thought the number might be too much for him, but he has a totally different reason for it than most fans think. It's not like Henri had it, so I want to have it. He's got also other reasons why he wants it.
Right.
He understands the power, the history behind that number. But as many have said, there's other players that have worn it before him. Some that have hit the 100 goal mark, so it's not like it doesn't carry any weight, and also players have been able to excel with it on their chest, or on their back. So I kind of feel like, all right, you know what, if he wants it, take it, but you got to show me. I kind of feel like he hasn't been showing it to us enough.
Yeah.
Right. Every time he comes on the pitch, he knows people are going to be staring at that number 14 as he goes up and down the pitch. And they're going to
if he misses chances, Gary, if he misses chances,
they're going to want to hear the phone ring. I'm sorry, that phone better be ringing every time he comes on the pitch, right?
It needs to be off the hook.
I think if you get Jesus and Eddie on the phone, very much on the same.
They're both on the phone, aren't they?
They're both going to do that on the pitch.
You're gonna see Jesus or Eddie making the call as they're gonna push the ball out to the other one and then do one of these, and then the other one's gonna have to score because you just have to.
Yeah.
You just can't waste that opportunity.
He's
gonna have to score and go, I got you.
Yeah, sorry, I was engaged. I was on another call. I didn't know.
It would be nice to see. Very much the same as when Aubameyang and Lacazette combined. They did the celebration, the little bow together. Eddie is going to have a make or break season. He'll be 24 and about that age. Also used to take the number 14 bus into training every day, Stan.
Well, Eddie and Nketiah, shirt numbers. I quite like this one. First of all, they should have really given Eddie and Nketiah the number 12 shirt because that's how old he looks, right? And that probably would have been more fitting, I joke. For me, this whole thing, what I like about squad numbers, it's not so much about, who's worn them before. For me, it's about where they play on the pitch to where the numbers are. A goalkeeper is number one. You with me? You're not going to have a left winger as number one. So for me, I would have given Eddie a number 9 because he is a through the middle guy. He's in a penalty box guy. And I would have given...
Jesus wanted 9.
But I would have given Jesus 4. Yeah, but if I'm the manager, right, they're not... Look, stop it, right? You're going to unsettle my dressing room, right? No. Jesus would have got 14 because I can be seeing 14 on a wing. I can handle that, and I can handle it seeing through the middle. But if he plays on the wing and that number 9's on the wing, to me that's like there's something wrong with the world. So that's why I've got to hang up about numbers. It's just about where they play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eddie, to those people that I have seen online kicking up a stink about Eddie Nketiah getting the number 14, as they say up there in Liverpool, they need to give their heads a wobble. If you're that bothered about it and your panties are that much in a twist about it, did you write a letter of petition Arsenal to retire the number 14 shirt when Thierry Henry left? Because if you did that, then I'd say, okay, fair enough. This is really something that is been important to you. But if you're only complaining now because the shirt has been given to player A instead of player B, because there's been other players in between Thierry Henry and Eddie Nketiah that have worn the 14. And if you, and I don't think neither of those two players set the world on fire. Yes, there were some good moments by those players, but they ain't lacing up Thierry Henry's boots. They're just not, right? So it annoys me that now it's like, oh, because it's this player, and they're kicking up a stink and all of that. Should have petitioned the club to retire it there and then when he retired, and I'd have more respect for you. So to those people that are on Twitter saying that sort of stuff, I respectfully say, please just wind your neck in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're just making a fuss over nothing. And you look at those people and you see some of their other tweets, and you're like, okay, they're just that kind of person. Nothing's good enough. The same people that said that Fabio Vieira and Marquinhos are waste of spaces before
Yeah,
they even
it
see them
is
kick a ball.
interesting.
Same people.
It is interesting to scroll back on people's timeline and sort of gauge where they are with all of this stuff in relation to other players as well. BX
Now,
says Eddie has
sorry.
that Defoe aspect about him and just needs to score some goals. Ray Anderson said Henri is his idol and wears number 14. So, Stan, you want to?
Now the other thing is the contract side of it that he's now finally signed. He signed the ting. All right, Tone. He
Hello.
signed the ting. The only thing I would say is this, right? He's now been given his wage increase to 100,000 a week. That is the same salary that Sadio Mane is on, regardless of whether Sadio Mane is now about to leave and get an increase.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I just think, if that's what you're on, then you need to start upping your game a little bit. I need to start seeing value. Oh, okay, let me shorten it. I need to start seeing value for money.
Yeah.
Because as much as Eddie came up with some good things near the end of the season, I've never looked at Eddie Nketiah and seen, if I'm paying you 100 grand a week, am I seeing value for money? And I would say up until this point, the answer for me personally would be no. Doesn't mean that can change. That can't change. So I really hope that next season that we see a real big uptick and we start recognizing, yeah, man, this guy's in Sadomania money, and it looks good.
A small sample at the end of the season, 5 goals, I think, in 8 games. So I'll go to Gary as Tony's settling in. Eddie is going to have a make or break season. He'll be 24 at about the age. And, maybe this is different players mature at different ages, Gary. So maybe this will be the breakout season, and he needs to step up. Eddie does.
Yeah, well, and you know what? Arteta has had a lot of confidence in him. He said it, but the actions didn't, for me anyway, show that he wanted to do that. But then when he eventually was forced into it, he what does it say?
Stan saying I joke is like
oh,
John Terry saying you probably shouldn't leave me alone in a room with your wife.
Notwithstanding.
oh boy. Yeah. All right. No, so like I said, I kind of felt like, you know what? Arteta now has put his money where his mouth is, right? He said he backed him up. He backed him when all of us, I don't think any of us last season were like, why are you backing him? And then if you are backing him, why aren't you playing him? And then eventually he was forced to play him because Lacazette was just so poor, I believe, and maybe he did have a knock or something like that. But he kind of Arteta seems to get forced into these situations. A lot of times the players do redeem, show him that, yeah, this is the reason why you probably should be playing him. But I kind of felt like he already told us that. So it's just a matter of putting the damn player.
Gary, do you reckon like if Arteta was looking at Lacazette, right, and Eddie and thinking, well, they're both running out of the contracts. If I'm gonna like blow up one skirt, who is it going to be? Who is? If I got to keep one, do you think it could have been that? Because if I was making that decision, and I'd go for Eddie.
Well, you definitely, because you don't want to pay any more money for Lacazette, right? And yes, I kind of looked at this. I think when I was looking at the whole Eddie thing and going into those 3 games that we were supposed to win, all right, and Lacazette's numbers just were dropping until the last game. Like I think it was Liverpool. Was it Crystal Palace? And then Brighton. Those are the 3 games where his numbers just dipped.
Liverpool,
right?
Aston Villa away.
Yeah, in the toilet at that point.
Yeah, and I think Nketiah played in the last game, which was Southampton, which I think was too much to ask for him to come in and make a difference there. But the 3 games, and then like the last game that he played, like as it really played for us, he gave us nothing, no shots. Of course, that meant no shots and targets, no assists. So I don't know if that was maybe the last straw. But he hadn't scored in 2 months anyway, so I don't know what the last straw would have been if we had won one of those games.
Must have been a big bale of hay, right? If we're now down to the last straw.
It's like what does he have to do?
I think Arteta is that guy who uses batteries up. So he used the Aubameyang up, and okay, the batteries are getting a little bit worn out, but I'm going to.
And that's the problem. We don't have.
I don't want to take the chamber off and take those batteries out.
Yeah, I see, and I hope that's not the case, because we cannot drain our players down to to E. No way, they can't be down to E. They need to be at whatever 30-40%, and then they come off and they recharge. Right?
Yep.
We cannot burn these guys out. We got too many games to play, too many important games to play. Lots of things that we want to get out of this season, so they can't. So like for me, Nketiah should hope they're paying him like he's going to come in and play, right? He's going to come in and play. He's going to get the cup games.
That's not bench money, is it?
Right? He's not. Wow. Nah, he's everybody that was making 100. Arteta had a lot of trust in him, and he played them, most of them, right? The only one who didn't play was Leno, and that's because they decided he wasn't their starter anymore. But otherwise, anybody that was close to that 100 mark, they didn't. They played.
It'll be Jesus in the league and Eddie leading us through Europe.
Well, you know what we want. That's what we want, right? We want if Jesus doesn't have to play in any of the group games, we'll be laughing, right? Which means hopefully we're doing something good.
I'm going to call it now. We bring in another striker in January window.
I can see that if we struggle through the group stage, but we still make it through.
Can you imagine before Liverpool?
We got through the first hour here, and then
Eddie's leading the line. How much confidence do you have in that game?
We got through the first hour, and then chaos joined us.
And then Tony joined us.
Yeah, you just basically said, you know what? I'm done with any structure or any flow to this thing. Let's just go crazy.
Yeah.
Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, we're up
Flip the
to
script.
Eddie Nketiah. Yeah, sure, you can talk about the 100,000 he's going to get a week. And then you're the numbers guy, but also talk about him getting number 14 shirt. And Gary has since told us there's some significance to that number for Eddie Nketiah. So you want
and Tony, tell us about what you think of the signings as well that we've actually got in the bag. Just
the 2 signings, Marquinhos.
What do you reckon?
Turner.
There are players now, mate. You know what I mean? There's no you can't take them back with a receipt. Yeah. They're in.
On Marquinhos, I trust the players we've been getting.
On who?
Marquinhos, the one from Brazil.
There is a queue in there, Tony, but go on.
Yeah. I said the queue.
He's from Oklahoma. Leave the man alone. All right,
Gary, I'm sticking up for you. He's the one that picks you out for the Udigo.
I just want to know how many times Stan mentioned plot holes in Kenobi so far.
I've got to the end.
He has not mentioned anything until the only person that has mentioned it is you. So maybe it's you.
But the glass is half full right now.
And the spliff is half smoked. Go on, Tony.
All right. You don't have to go into the ones we have in already, but just talk about Nketiah. It'll take too long otherwise.
Nketiah, I just don't like the second him being second striker. I want somebody else coming in. I think he's going to be third fiddle for the keeping. Still 100K is way too much for him. He wanted
They've
to
left
know
me all alone with Tony. Oh no! Oh no! They left
what
me
to
all
do,
alone
Ray.
with Tony. What to
Hey, I
do?
get to talk.
You don't
But
like
to
the
me,
fact that he's going to be potentially our second striker, Tony.
yeah, like I said, if you're going to Liverpool or Manchester, any of those places, you see Eddie leading the line, you're just to shake your head because he's not a clinical striker. He'll go out there and
Right now
pull
you would
through.
say, right now you would be correct in saying he's not a clinical striker. He might not take all of the chances presented to him, but can he make a step forward this season, Tony?
I don't know. I just see him as a goal poacher. I just see him tapping things in. He can't really pass.
Isn't that what we needed?
No, we needed a clinical striker. We needed an Eduardo type.
You're going to have
The
Martinelli. You're
ball
going to have
comes to their
Saka.
feet and it goes through the back of a net. You're good to
You're going to
go.
have Emil Smith Rowe. You're going to have Erdegaard. You're going to have Martinelli. You're going to have hopefully Raphinha. You're going to have Saka. You know, providing assists for Eddie Nketiah.
And you forgot another one that gets assist. Our new Vieira.
New Vieira.
Fabio.
Yeah. So yeah, what's your thoughts on him getting the number 14 though, and the uproar among the fan base?
I can care less on the numbers.
Good.
Finally. I just don't like him being number 2.
Moving swiftly on.
I don't like him being our second choice. That's my only thing with number.
Stan, our fans want it all, and then they don't want it. They say we want to spend money. When we're spending money, we're spending too much. They say we want to see young players in the team, and
we trying to say they're Goldilocks.
We give Eddie Nketiah a chance as our second striker, and Arsenal fans don't want that. Certain sections.
Well, sometimes you don't get what you want. Do you know what I mean? I don't want Granit Xhaka in the team, but he's there.
Yeah.
It's just one of them things. I wanted Mesut Ozil gone a long time before anybody else. A long time. And people were trying to justify it. And I look at what he's doing in Turkey. It happens, For me, okay, I look at it this way now. Eddie Nketiah is a person that in Arsenal invested a lot of time and money in. What did he say? 14? He came to Arsenal when he was 14. A lot of time and money has been invested in him. So he could have walked out the door for nothing. 100 grand a week. I mean, we can't say whether he's worth it or not. We don't know what he's going to do next season with more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. And I've always had the feeling that from day one, Mikel Arteta has always been very positive about Eddie. From day one, near the beginning, there was a period where I was like, "Blood, the way you talk about him is like a little pet project." But then he covets him and wouldn't play him a lot. He was like, "I've got this thing over here. No one else can have it. I've got this Eddie Nketiah. You wait and see. I know what I'm talking about." And maybe he's got this bee in his bonnet. Let's see. But at the end of the day, we've now tied him down to 5 years. Doesn't mean that we can't move him on.
Yeah, you seen him in the 2021 season with Lacazette getting benched for him, Pepe getting benched. They were scoring. Eddie was doing nothing. Arteta just really likes something about him. I don't know if that's what he does in training or something about the guy's personality, but he's definitely one of his pets. Kept him from going last summer, kept him going in the winter, kept him going this summer. So
would I like to have sold him
much
in the last window and brought someone else in? Yes, but I just don't see what absolutely losing my shit about him still being here is going to do. I went all through that with Ozil, and all that got me was a fucking hoarse voice. That was it. I got a hoarse voice and a headache. So the only thing that as I said, I'm repeating myself a little bit here. We've been shortchanged if we don't bring in another striker, and if we don't bring in another striker in this window, I've got a feeling that we'll be bringing somebody else in the January window.
I don't see how we can't. And it's gonna be hard to after the World Cup.
If we fill a lot of the other holes we have, we might just have to take that.
Those prices are going to be high after the World Cup.
When you think about it, we took a risk in January last time, and maybe we have to. Maybe the only risk we're taking now is that we just didn't get another striker. But if we fill the other holes like we're attempting to do, that is better, right? If that's what it takes to get some of those players that we're talking about getting in, right? I mean, look at those four. Who's Martinez? Is that Lissandro?
Lysandra.
Yeah. So
Lysandra.
if we're talking about getting some of the players in that are on our radar right now, all of them, right? Then we might not get that striker, and maybe Balogun comes through. He gets some time. Maybe he goes away and we pull him back or whatever. But yeah, I kind of feel like just we need to bring in our numbers need to go up in terms of players that Arteta wants. So he might have to take a loss, not a loss, but take a hold and a wait and see on that second striker to make it three, three total for the team.
Well, we still got
Maybe
four other players
maybe
to sell.
maybe Martinelli is that backup plan.
I just think sometimes you've got to think of scenarios, right? What happens if we go through pre-season, everything's good, the window closes, and then either Eddie or Gabriel gets a leg break? Unlikely or very likely. It's football. It's football.
Yeah.
You know,
Injuries.
look at that season of Eduardo.
Yep.
You know, and I just think then if that was something like that happens, okay, maybe I'm being over dramatic. Something happens and one of them is out for two months, and then obviously a month to rehabilitate and come back in. So 3 months that we don't have the benefit of somebody firing on all cylinders, then it gets a bit tricky.
Yeah,
really.
And you know what you just said there is why they should be looking at the January window going. 1, we didn't do any business. 2, we actually said we didn't need to. We had what we needed. And then 3, it actually turned out you were wrong on both parts, right? You needed to bring in a player and you didn't have what you needed. He's got his chocolates there. Oh, look at him. This must be. What did you do for that chocolate? Because don't you have to do something special for that chocolate?
All I'm going to say is that the ambassador's ball went off with a swing.
The ambassador's ball.
He brought out a pyramid of these on a plane. So
Ferrero Rocher is this? Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I said, I kind of feel like we need to get our numbers up in terms of depth, number of players that actually can play for Arteta, right? So I believe Fabio is one, Jesus is another. I'm not too sure about Marquinhos right now being a player that he can depend on or he can look to. Turner definitely is a player he will depend on. Saliba, right? I guess we haven't got to him, but that's like 4 or 5 players right now that he will depend on that weren't here last season. So,
Mr. Tom going to bed because he doesn't want to hear about the Raphinha talk.
We were just getting that was the next topic as well. Oh well, fair enough, Mr. Tom.
He just wants loads of money, and he's going to get loads of money. They're going to get loads.
He's sticking at 60 million. He's not budging.
You'll get 55 and he'll like it, and then Raphinha will do his business and he'll get the rest of it. So
loads of money.
He'll have a great home with us as well. We'll take care of him as well. But look, 16 games there.
Listen, going to as a Brazilian player now, right? Going to Arsenal is like really signing for Sao Paulo. It's home from home. I bet they all drinking capurinas after training. Do you know what I mean?
Then you got the 2 players we got from Portugal. So
first one there was of this click was Martinelli. So David Luiz, then Cam, I think, and then Gabriel, mega legs. Yeah.
You forgot about the first Gabriel. You forgot about the first Gabriel. That's not with us anymore. You forgot about Paulista.
Why are we bringing him up?
That's years ago.
Why are we bringing him up?
That was 16, 17 when he left.
Why are we bringing him up?
Because we're talking about Brazilians.
Yeah, but he doesn't play for Arsenal.
Not anymore.
He doesn't play for Arsenal. Anymore. He played for Arsenal.
Yeah.
He doesn't play for Arsenal.
Yeah. We get it, Gary. Moving on.
We need to build a squad that's going to be able to sustain us through the first 3.5 months. 16 league games. Doesn't look like 16 league games there, but there they are. We're going to have a busy program and Europa League games in, I think, September and October, if I'm not mistaken, into November as well, another 6 games. So we need to pretty much have 2 players per position, Gary.
Yes. Yes, 2 players per position, and definitely. I mean, right now that means some on the defense, right? So at least one on the defensive side. So, yeah, two. I don't know. Is Nketiah our number 2 striker?
Yes.
He is right now.
Yeah. So then who plays behind Martinelli or in front of Martinelli?
Okay, so you got Martinelli, you got Emil Smith Rowe.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? I mean, either one of the sides. Like I think Emil Smith-Rowe usually. Does he play? Oh, he usually replaces Martinelli,
They
doesn't he?
share minutes. Yeah.
So it's just Saka doesn't have a.
Or Odegaard is played in that position as well, right? Sort of,
Not
it's more
much.
central as well.
Mhm.
Odegaard and Vieira. You got options in midfield. You got Partey. You got Sambi. You got Elneny in there. You want Elneny third.
I see. Our El Neni for me is not part of that too deep
You said
setup for
third. I
me.
put him third.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
followed your directions.
oh, okay. No, I just feel like he's not like the first one off the bench. That's not.
Yeah.
I'd like him on the squad, but if we have to use him, that means we have nobody
He,
else.
he is going to be
And
good for
yeah,
the Europa League.
yeah.
He's going to fill in those minutes. We don't want to be going Thursday, Sunday stand where we're playing 9 of the 11, the same players on Thursday and Sunday.
No, because just look at the state of some of our players at the end of this season, and we were already knocked out of other competitions ages ago. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we should be like doing all right, 1 game a week." Stuff. They were like breathing out their arses. A couple of those players by the end, a few of our players by the end of the season. It was too much for them.
Mhm.
So bringing in a player like I was going to say Patrick Vieira, like a Fabio Vieira. Sorry, bringing in a Theodore Bagwell from Prison Break will it's going to lighten the load, right? And that's what we need. We need a couple of players, but are you looking at we can't quite do a Man City just yet. I don't think where we've got 2 £60 million players in fighting for one position, but you want to be able to have a balance of having someone that can push a player, but maybe also have some backups as well. Rob Holding's not pushing anyone. If you see where I'm coming from, he's not really pushing anyone, right? But he is a backup player. Same with El Neni. Hopefully, Vieira's going to be the other way. He'll be pushing, but he's not just going to be a backup player.
Yeah. Ray Anderson said Paulista was a decade away, Tony. We're going to talk about another South American in a minute. It will be an Argentine player in Martinez. We won't stay long. Then we'll get to Raphinha. But we want to touch, Stan wanted me to touch on quickly on Tielemans. I'll be right back. If you want to start the conversation, Stan, I believe Tielemans, this is my take on it.
All we need to know is coaching badges.
Tielemans, yeah. Tielemans is in a good spot. I believe we're in a position where we're probably 7 million away between what Leicester want and what we want.
Yeah, but you said we're going to get it done in 2 weeks. It's not going to happen, right? Move on.
Well, I don't know everything then. I'll leave it with Stan. Take it away on Tielemans.
For me, with the
right
transfer
back.
window, the links and the business that it looks like we're going to be doing, right? We've brought in 2. We've brought in a young guy that you never know could be a Martinelli that could go to pre-season and show us something. We think, maybe we won't put him out on loan, or maybe he goes out on loan and shines later. We've got Vieira. Gabriel Jesus looks like it's in the bag as well. And then there's the Raphinha deal as well. But for me, the one that I was really hoping was going to happen, and it seems a little bit shaky, I'm not sure why, is the Tielemans one. I wanted that one to happen. I mean, I don't want to. All right, I'll disclose this information. All right. Last weekend, I had a bit to drink. I went out. I found a raccoon. I killed it. I sacrificed it to the football gods so that we could bring in Tielemans. Obviously, it wasn't enough because it's gone shaky. So maybe I'm going to try a goat this week. That's where I am. How much I want Tielemans to come in for the simple reason I feel that if we can bring in Tielemans. And I'm being selfish when I say this, right? We bring in Tielemans, hopefully for me, that pushes Granit Xhaka down in the pecking order to be starting as many games. This is my own opinion of why I want that to happen. And I don't feel that for me that Granit Xhaka is the player that's going to be wanting to sit on the bench, let alone having the stomach for the fight for his place. And that hopefully then leads to a pathway for him walking out of the door. Because as far as I'm concerned, I look at it as an upgrade. And let me just check how my poll is going on Twitter. I put a poll out. And when I put my polls out, I don't try to word it in a way that I influence people, that they can see where I would vote. I try to do it as neutral as possible, so that it's unbiased. And what I put out was, if it meant selling Granit Xhaka in order to facilitate the transfer of Yuri Tielemans, would you do it? And I'd like you guys in the chat box to let me know, right? If it meant that we sold Granit Xhaka and the money that we got helped us just get over the line to bring in Yuri Tielemans, would you do it? And I always write the same two choices so that it's unbiased. I always start with hell no, and then fuck yeah. And so far, from 173 votes, 73% would do it. So I'm interested to know what you guys think, because if it meant, you know what I said earlier about where Eddie Nketiah is on the scale of strikers, if we could bring in another striker, does Eddie Nketiah stay where he is and that striker comes in to replace, where Lacazette was, or is he coming in underneath and Eddie goes up a rung on the ladder? If it meant bringing in Tielemans and it meant that Xhaka moves down on the rung and the ladder and El Neni goes, because I love El Neni, but I think that maybe Xhaka is a better player who could come in now and again like El Neni does and maybe do something. I'm trying to be polite to Xhaka when I say this. I actually would keep El Neni, but you know what I'm saying? If it meant you looking at players being on a conveyor belt, the best ones at the front, move that one out, bring the next one in, then maybe I would be better. I would feel better about it. But if we don't bring in Tielemans, Vieira, Teabag is not a replacement. Teabag's not going to take up the Xhaka spot. I don't see him playing in sometimes maybe in that left 8. So the Tielemans deal really reminds me of Anakin Skywalker. And I don't want to go into the Kenobi thing now. I saw what BX kind of said about it. He loved the series. And I will be taking him to task before we get to the end of this pod. And I love BX Gunner, but when it comes to, if he will come Kenobi, no. But on a serious note, for me, Tielemans is Anakin Skywalker when Ben Kenobi shouts at him in Return of the Sith film, and he goes, "You were the chosen one, Anakin. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force." And that's what Tielemans was for me, because I think that if he comes in, Xhaka's gradually moving out. And that for me is a win-win, because it's 6 seasons now and he has not been able to take us to the land of milk and honey. And the last thing is, when he came out and done that interview about players not doing this and not following the manager and that doing that and leaders on the pitch, I just think to myself, are you not supposed to be the leader on the pitch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So who the fuck are you jerking this off on? You should be putting this on your shoulders now, and I'd respect you a lot more if you said that I was unable to and I didn't and I'm supposed to be doing. That's what I would have more respect for you, instead of saying, if you're young and you did that and you're not old enough and you don't think you shouldn't be playing. No, mate, jog on. So Tielemans for me, I really hope that this is going to be one of them deals that it goes down to the last minute, because he doesn't want to sign for Leicester. Mikel Arteta, as I understand it through the oracle that is Ornstein and these people that know more than me, that he's really high up on the list for Mikel Arteta. He likes what he does. The player has already agreed personal terms. It might be a question of the money that goes down on the table, but maybe if we can push this one to the end of the window, he might come in after the season kicks off.
Hate to hear that. But listen, we had 2 glaring holes in our team in our first 11 last season. Striking position and that left 8 position. And for me, Jesus fills a striking position, but Tielemans fits perfectly for me. Into that left 8 position.
I'm getting text messages from the RSPCA as we speak. So I just want to say, the thing about the raccoons, I'm sorry about that.
Definitely for me, it's...
I was definitely distraught when you brought it up. I don't know if you can see my face. I definitely had
Yeah, I
no.
came back
I
to
Listen,
reality.
there's loads of raccoons where I live, right? No one's going to miss one.
I came back
Loads
to
of them.
this.
I've
Stan,
seen
you are a
them. Loads.
madman. I was like, okay, what happened while I was away for 2 minutes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Gary,
Stan
what you
was
think?
talking about blood sacrifices.
If you didn't hear that, Ray, play it back. I was just,
Yeah.
I just told them about the lengths that I went through and what I did to appease the football gods that would get Tielemans. It
You did
involved
the
a
wrong
raccoon.
thing, Stan.
It involved a raccoon. I'm not proud of it. I've even got a big scratch on my arm where it
The
fought back.
experts that we're getting Prime Vader here. Vader pounding Kenobi with the rocks was epic. But we'll get it. We can get into that later.
Yeah, no, I mean, if here's the thing, if Tielemans'
yes.
defense is the concern, then what difference is he than Xhaka?
So why do I think he'd be an improvement?
No. I'm just saying, like, you know what? People are like, well, how's he going to replace? What does he do better than Xhaka? And I'm like, well, they're like, he's a defensive liability, right? And I'm like, well, Xhaka is a defensive liability, so it can't be that, right?
Look at where we are, right? Xhaka was in that double pivot, and then he moved him forward, right, in that left 8. That's where he's, you know. And I think that Tielemans in the left 8 is more mobile for a start.
Money.
Yeah.
Kicks the back of the net a little bit more frequently.
Okay, 5 or 6 goals a season. From
The assists are in there.
Yep, Gary.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm like, he's got to be better than what we got. Has to.
Ray Anderson said we need improvement in Jack all around. I believe he is. Gary.
He scored in a cup game, the winner, the only goal. Are we once again? When do we ever go? Xhaka left his mark on the game. We never. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say. They've always said he's had a really good game, but when did you ever go? He left his marker on. Like that is my signature moment for Arsenal. You will remember this game. What game do we remember from Xhaka?
You could even go one further. You could go one further, Gary.
Against United.
You could go one further, Gary, and say how many times has he won Player of the Month in 6 years? It's once, isn't it?
Not many.
It's once. I believe it's once that he's won Player of the Player of the Month. And that was last season in 6 years.
Yeah, I think we can do better. And if you thought you could do better than Leno, then you can definitely do better than Xhaka.
That's a good point.
Right. If you because Leno good shot stopper, did not deliver some of the things we wanted. You know, you put him in a position you thought that was where he was going to excel, and he did not excel there. You said I can do better, and nobody thought we should do better with a goalkeeper when everything else was wrong with the team. Well, guess what? We're fixing a lot of the things around one player right now, and they continue to tell us that he's got a spot on the squad, and it's like, are you serious? Right?
The only counter argument, and I'm playing devil's advocate, Gary, and I hate this counter argument, is when they wheel out the old, but look how many managers have been in there and keep him and blah blah blah. And I hate that argument because obviously these managers they know more about fucking football than I do, right? Do you know what I mean? But I still think he's a liability.
The thing about Granit Xhaka is
I've got eyes, right? I've got eyes. I can see what's going on. But
it's the eye test. The thing about Granit Xhaka.
Why do these managers say that then? What is? I mean,
well, he does everything.
He looked really good playing for Switzerland, but he looked really shit playing for Arsenal. So I don't support Switzerland.
And people say, why does Arteta love Granit Xhaka so much? Well,
nudes. We know that. Nudes. He's got nudes.
Well,
we know that.
I think Arteta was that dedicated professional, and Xhaka puts off that facade that he's a dedicated professional.
Hasn't he had long enough? 6 seasons is long enough. Isn't it long enough? I mean,
no Champions League since he's been
What is this characteristic that he has that you think is what Arsenal's all about? And what the team needs.
Turns up on time, stays back, works hard.
He's got a watch. Okay, so he has a watch. Okay, next.
This is. I mean, we're talking about once again. We're talking about things
that
he's supposed to do, right? Yes, the things that he's supposed to do. Like, why is Lacazette playing? Oh well, because he works hard, right? and everybody said, "Well, isn't he supposed to work hard?"
I worked
The
hard this
man
week.
shows up on time. I don't. What does he do to your squad to get you over that line?
Well,
It's
where
ironic. It's
you want to
ironic
go?
that he shows up on time because I wish he wouldn't turn up at all. So I wish he'd stay home.
Yeah.
So
um,
the
I mean,
irony.
I felt we can do better, and we have gone out of we seem to have gone out of our way to do that everywhere else on the pitch, except
I
for
think
and
I
now
think
when you go out and you think about it, when you go out and you get a Partey, you just can't say, all right, you're gonna have to deal with whatever you have around you, and that's it. Because when Partey has a really good game, then everybody's like, oh, Xhaka had a really good game. It's like, well, if the guy next to Partey has a better game than what we got just now, it's easier for the squad,
mm,
right? It's
but
easier for the squad. And if it's not the guy next to Partey, maybe it's the guy that takes Partey's defensive spot and pushes him up the pitch. Then you get even better, right? Because I believe he needs to be further up the pitch. I don't think he needs to be the pivot sitting, in front of the back line, right? That single pivot. I don't believe that's where we want him to be, right?
and
I think we'd rather that's where the Basuma talk always comes up, is because once you do that, you just push him up field. I believe is what we would get out of that. So either the guy next to him needs to be as good as him, if not the better than him, or you need a player that can sit and push him up field so he can continue to do some of the stuff he already does, and he can press higher up the pitch,
I
right?
think
Because we see that when he plays at the single pivot, when he's on his game, bang, his defense is good. But if that's further up the pitch, even better. The other team's under pressure the entire game, and we're looking at that City game, going, that's the way we play all the time, not once, right? I heard it today I heard on some of the shows. They bring up the City game when they talk about Arsenal and Partey and how good that was, that
Oh yeah,
performance, right?
yeah. That was a stellar game.
You
Ray
know what?
Anderson,
If I was picking a football team, if we were a football team right now, I think Gary's probably the first name on my team sheet. He's been on form now for the last, I would say, couple of months.
I'm
Some
trying.
of them, yeah, he's like he's red hot in form.
gotta
Value, the
bring-
transfer value's through the roof, mate.
we
Right
got to
now,
bring Tony in on this one. Ray Anderson wants it to be known.
Tony, I'm sending out on loan.
Ray Anderson is not saying that Xhaka should start. He's merely saying that Tillmans doesn't do defensive work great.
I might even just tear the contract up. I don't know.
I think going forward for us, though, Tillmans is the player that will fit for us and what we need. Alonso said Xhaka is the best defensive midfielder in the world.
He's not a defensive midfielder.
Oh my gosh! Did you, Lonzo? You are not allowed on my show ever again.
I think Alonso.
With that talk, that is just really.
I think I'm
that's
sensing,
really, really.
I'm sensing a pinch of sarcasm
Says he's
there.
joking. Says he's joking.
Sarcasm.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just ripped up your past. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to print it out again.
He says he's
and it's so
joking.
much like if Alonso believed that, it's like saying the Bastian Booger should be WWE
Tony, that
champion.
space can give you a lifetime
Okay.
supply.
Nah,
Sweet.
nah.
Okay. He said he was teasing you, Tony. End of. Granit Xhaka, best defensive midfielder. End of. Move on.
He's
Move
He's
on.
not a defensive midfielder.
Tielemans, Tony. Move on. Let's talk about Tielemans.
Tillmans, to me, I'm not that excited about him. I know Stan is.
Why not? Pray tell.
I-
What's not to like? Listen, first of all, right, I don't know if you knew this, right? This might be news to you, but he's got like a full UEFA A coaching badge. So, I mean, I just want to put that out on the table. Carry on.
Wow. What a shocking statement that was.
Alonso, we're going to go
Hang
for
on.
another 30 days.
Don't let him off the hook, right? Tony, why don't you like Tielemans? What is it that you don't see? Tell us.
I just don't think he has the hustle, the speed. I just don't.
Is he
I
better
like
than
over and
Xhaka?
over.
Ask me that. Is he better than Xhaka?
Yeah, but you're not improving the age by that much.
So
by dropping
so is that a
three.
yes or a no? I
I
just
mean,
want to
it's
make
the
sure I heard
age.
that
What do you
correctly.
mean? Okay.
Of course, he's better.
If
Okay, so
Tielemans was
that's
in
a
our
yes,
team last
right?
season, Tony, do you think
We
that
had
we would have got
players on loan
the
that
2
were better.
points
We
that
had
we
Ferrer
needed
and
to get in the
Guendouzi
Champions
that's
League?
better than him. What? Sorry, Stan, to hear you.
Hold on, you said that. Okay. If we'd had Tielemans in the team last season, do you think that we would have been able to have got the extra couple of points we'd have needed to get to the land of milk and honey?
If you have Zaka out of a squad, you always do. It doesn't matter who's there.
Tony, I believe sometimes you have to make these takes just to stand out from
No,
the crowd.
I haven't been that pipped on him.
How big is that hole that you're digging? What is it you're putting in there? What are you burying? Tell me.
What do you like to know,
Sinkhole.
Stan?
Yeah, he's flat. Probably he's flat, mate.
I do have a new one, Stan.
Well, for how much longer? We'll find. We'll see.
They go to another level.
Every 2 weeks, the ad goes back up in the shop. Room to let.
Right, you're in the basement. We're in the basement.
I don't have a basement, Ray.
Okay.
That's what he tells the police. I got a basement.
Real quickly, we're going to move on to Lissandro Martinez. I think this is going to be a tough one.
The Butcher of Amsterdam.
Yes, the Butcher of.
That's what he's known. I found that. That's what he's known as. I didn't make that up. He's known as the Butcher of Amsterdam.
Yes.
I quite like the sound of that.
Arsenal, I think, are about 20 million euros apart on valuation. So this one's going to go. It's probably not going to happen. I wouldn't have a high confidence on this one. Ajax won close to 50 million euros. We're going to go to 30 so far.
Ben White money.
Yeah, Ben White money.
Thomas Partey money.
He will fit a need for us. He'll be like a Tomiyasu or
I
a
thought
Ben
they
White.
were open to selling him
on
for
the left.
35, Ray.
You know what? I think this year's 50 million is yesterday's 30 million. It sounds like 50 million is kind of like where everyone just swans in at now, but it used to be 30. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Inflation.
We will we'll get to Raphinha in a minute, and then we'll need to talk about how much. I know we don't care about the money, right? But is there,
But what position would we play him in?
how much is KSC going to spend?
What position are we buying him for?
Left back, left centre back, cover.
Defensive midfielder.
Didn't he have really good stats for central defense? Yeah, he had really good stats for central defensive midfield. I can't remember what it was. There was some stat, and it was like only Memphis Depay got more whatever forward.
Yeah,
was it something like forward attacking passes or some shit like that in the Eredivisie? So even though
from what I heard, he's not really.
He's 5'9". He's 5'9". His stats apparently are better than Gabriel Megalegs. Aerial attacking ability as well. He's only 5'9". He's a left-footed player, which means then he probably comes in and takes over where Pablo Mari was supposed to pick up the reins to help, Megalegs. Seems like Mikel Arteta wants a left back on the left side that has a left foot. So again, as we said, we don't want Gabriel Megalegs thinking, and I'm having a shit game, but I'll make it up next week when I get picked again. Because you might not get picked again if the fucking Amsterdam Butcher is breathing down your neck.
Yeah, if you got a nickname, Amsterdam Butcher, it's a better nickname than.
I want us to sign him and see people in the crowd with Arsenal shirts on and have his number and just says not his name, Amsterdam Butcher. That's marketing.
BX Gunner says this deal looks tricky because of United. Ten Hag.
United's backed all the way out.
Timber, you're in for Timber.
Apparently, Louis van Gaal has told him about United, and he says maybe you shouldn't go to United because Louis van Gaal is the Dutch international coach now. He has an axe to grind with Man U. Yeah, kind of didn't sort of be sour with his relationship. And if you go to Arsenal, you get more minutes. Get more minutes, you play in the World Cup.
We may be benefiting, Tony, from getting ourselves a little bit structured in terms of moving on players on high money, big contracts, big wages. Man United and Ten Hag has a lot of work to do there.
Oh, yeah, he's not Dutch though; he's Argentina. So I suppose
Argentinian. Yeah,
Louis van Gaal can't really get him a place in the Dutch team unless he changes his nationality. So.
He's a his passport.
I think the RPA might be kicking in.
He might have just said, "Listen, don't go to United."
Don't go United because they're shit. That was a conversation.
Playing alongside Harry Maguire, please.
Yeah, what did we play next to Slabhead for?
Think about it.
Yeah.
Tony, what's your what you're thinking about Martinez, Lissandro?
I really don't know much about the guy. Supposedly, from what I heard, he really isn't that good at center back or left back. He's better at being a central defensive mid because of his passing ability, like Stan mentioned earlier. To me, it's still Varane Martinez to be going after. I'd be going after Latoro for 60 million euros. But
Stuck on Latoro.
You're bringing it
I
up
don't
again.
know.
Oh, my. Start record again. We're not talking. It's wrong Martinez, Tony. Keep up. This is the different Martinez.
That's what I said. We're after Varane.
Not Emmy.
Yeah, we talk about Emmy Martinez in a minute.
No, that's Gary and Ray. They still.
We've moved on. Why can't you? Right, Gary?
Martinez
We've
still
moved
hasn't
on.
moved on past us. He still talks about us. Poor guy.
I've heard you put your Lacazette lunchbox on eBay. Is that right?
That is Martinez. We don't know what's going to happen there. I don't think he's a midfielder. I don't think he's going to cover as midfielder. I think he's going to be earmarked.
Why can't he be our James Milner?
Back.
Sounds like it. It sounds like a Swiss Army knife, right? Other than what Tony said, everyone else seems to think that he's fairly good in a few positions, and you can never not have someone like that. Look at James Milner again. He's been forging a career out of doing that, and very successful as well.
Yeah, and we are building a squad with multi-functional players, but one of those is Raphinha, and he's not going to be multifunctional. He's a winger. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. First bid yesterday, Gary, flat out turned down. I think Ornstein said it was an insult. I don't think it was an insulting bid.
No, he said we put in a bid and it was dismissed out of hand. That was the phrase.
I was 51.
To me, that's a polite way of saying fuck off.
60 million euros yesterday, 51 million English pounds, and Leeds turned that down. We've come back today. Apparently,
I don't see how that's out.
Was that the fee? You should. We bidded 51 million pounds, and they said no.
51
really?
English. 51 English.
51
pounds.
old English pounds.
60 million euros. Now we've come back with 10 million euros more. 55 million of that guaranteed, and 15 of that in add-ons. So Leeds are
that's the cut-off point for me, man.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Yeah.
What was your source on that, Ray?
HP.
Winner.
Tabasco.
On the second bid.
Huh?
On the second bid.
First bid sounds pretty good to me.
It's out there.
Out there.
It's out there.
It's funny, isn't it, how it's not like Arsenal bid 50 million, they bid 51 million. That's always the odds.
Well, no.
Everybody said we were going to bid 50 for him. But
Ray just said 51, and so they're wrong.
So, Stan, it's 60 million euros. I converted it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's 51 million English pounds.
Why are English teams offering shit in euros for the anyway? Do you know what I get? Okay, because it's a bigger number in euros and it sounds flashier. Do you know what I mean? What was it? I wonder what it is in fucking Rwandan dollars. It's probably like millions, right? In Rwandan dollars. Why don't they put that?
Exchange rate, so
Arsenal bid 400 million Rwandan dollars for Raphinha. But I don't. What do you guys think? 50 million pounds?
Okay, so yesterday's bid of, let's call it euros. Okay, it's nice even number, nice round numbers. 60 million euros yesterday. 70 million,
how that's out of hand.
70 million euros today.
Then moving it up to 85 or 100 million.
It shows they're keen, right? Because if you're saying that they put in a bid on Monday and they said no, we've gone straight. There's no hanging about. Then we've gone back in. That sounds keen. You're keen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The news is that Chelsea.
It's like when you go. It's like when you leave a nightclub with a bird. It's 2:00 in the morning. You just about get down to the nitty gritty, and she goes, "Have you got a condom?" You're like, no. Next thing you know, 4 hours you're walking around trying to find a petrol station that's open or some shit. By the time you get back, she's snoring. Snoring, but you were keen. You were keen. You could have gone home. But you stuck to the mission. So I like that.
You don't have extra condoms stuck in your wallet, Stan?
I'm not talking about me. I'm in a loving relationship, Tony.
Okay.
BX Gunner said we've come back with a very tempting offer based off of add-ons, but it is an improved bid as well. Another 15 million add-ons. We're trying to close this one as soon as possible. Gary?
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts?
Rafina, yeah, no. I mean, if they don't want to take this, then we move on. I don't know how much better we can do than
Whoa.
this.
Yeah,
I don't. Well, we have a lot of things to do. All right.
I'm
What
torn
more
on
do
this
they?
one.
What more do they want?
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna do a job.
You
They're
want
gonna
more
get their
money?
70. They're gonna get their 70 mil no matter what. So don't worry about it because that's he's gonna. I
That's more
expect
than
it.
Haaland's release clause.
Well, no, but you're talking about the parts that they report on. There's the other part where the agent fees come in, and we're not even close, right? So, I don't think I think that's where unless our agent fees are close to that, but I doubt it. Um, but I kind of feel like he was in a lot more control, and
Would you
Leeds
go
will
back with any
never.
more money, Gary? Would this
no,
be off? Would this be like right? Who's going to blink first now?
I don't know how they can say no to this. This is what they want. They want like 70
Exactly.
mil, and they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Mr. Tom
He's
said,
gonna.
"Shake the money tree." That's shaking the money tree, as far as I'm
We
concerned.
shook it already. It's shook.
Um,
Everything's gone,
We've
and
chopped
it's
that
in.
fucker. We've just chopped that fucker down for Leeds. Yeah,
Yeah.
have the tree. Have the whole tree. You shake it.
So,
Yeah.
so here's the
No,
concept.
we
Tom's
always
not
keep
driving,
talking.
Dylan. Don't
We
worry.
keep talking about what the World Cup's coming. These players want to show that they deserve a spot in the squad. He's going to come, and at least for the first 3 months, he's going to play balls out. Right? He's going to give us what we want. All right. So he's going to
Well,
push somebody to the bench. Right?
Saka on the left.
He's going to
Saka
push
on the
somebody to the
left.
bench, and somebody even mentioned, what happens
Saka
if
on
you
the left.
decide to go with what happens if you push Saka to the bench and you have Martinelli out there and you have your whole Brazilian
I've got
front
something.
three, right?
Yeah,
Think
I've
about
got
it. You have
a
your
question.
Brazilian front three. You're
I've got a
laughing, right?
question
I
for
want
you
Brazil
on
to
that
win
one.
the World Cup now because we win it technically.
The ex-gunner said, "Who is this Arsenal? He does not recognize this Arsenal.
Nah,
This is
yeah.
a major show
It's Brazil
of
FC.
intent.
BX Gunner. That's who it
Show
is.
of major intent, and we're trying to have all our business done before preseason."
Yeah.
I think Arteta is pushing for this.
No,
Honestly,
no. Think about it. If you would have said if we were coming into this window, I don't think any of us would like. All right, well, we were like, Jesus, Tielemans, and I forget who else we said coming in. But
well, we
Rafina was
wanted
never.
Jesus, we
Rafina was
wanted
like
Tielemans.
Rafina was far down that list in terms
Yeah,
of maybe we
yeah.
should get him right.
Yeah.
But now we're at the point where we are talking about getting him. Well, you might as well just get the money, get it done, and move on. I mean, I think it's a really good deal for them.
I agree.
Doesn't sound like anybody else can put in an offer close to that.
Here's the situation, Gary. If they don't sell him this summer, next summer, he comes to 1 year to the end of his contract. Right now, he's on 2 years.
Yep.
This is the most money Leeds are going to get from
Most
Raphinha.
likely, unless he's got a World Cup in his hand.
Barcelona are not going to be able to pay the money that we're going to pay. Chelsea, I believe, have backed out now because of the price point here. And next season, he's going to be 30 million, 35 million if they keep him. And now the situation is, did Arsenal say to Leeds, this is our last and final offer?
I would have.
They should. They should. They should. And we've got
Is Arsenal playing hardball here? I mean, this is it. This is all you're getting from
us. At some point, it has to. At some point, we've said no. And sometimes it's to our own people, but at some point, we're going to have to say no to, this offer is not good enough. And it's like, are you sure about that?
When it's getting that high, why
sit
don't
on
you
it.
just
Sit
go
on it for
freaking
24
heavy?
hours, and if we don't hear from you, then it's over. We'll move on, and then you see what happens, right? So I kind of feel like, I don't. Nah, that's a good number for what he's, what he means to your squad, right? You're gonna get, you're gonna have 55 million to
guaranteed
continue to improve your squad.
Yeah.
So
and like you said, Gary, I think we both agreed at the same point here. I'll go to Tony then. This is it. This is all. This is our last and final bid. It's really, really good money. 55 million guaranteed and 15 in add-ons. Probably performance related.
55 million euros or pounds?
Pounds.
That is 60 million sterling.
55 million pounds, and how much in add-ons?
55 million euros and 15 million euros. It's all going to come to
So
60
70
million.
million.
60 million sterling, right, Tony?
Okay. 16 sterling.
You just calculated there, have you?
Yeah.
And they've said they won't deal at until they hit 65 million sterling. But I believe we got to call their bluff here, and we got to say that's it, final. But Tony, what's your thoughts on the second bid, 70
I
million
think it's a
euro?
good bid. I don't think our first one was that out of hand.
No,
If they don't want to accept that money, go to Gnabry's agents, get him. To me, a winger shouldn't be that much of a priority to begin with, but I think we might be doing it because we might be converting Martinelli more to a striker, second or third option, a striker. I think that's kind of why we're going after a big name winger because we really don't need one. But to get one, you might as well get one of the best ones available. Looks like we're trying to do that, but the money's not good enough for him. Move on, find another target.
Arsenal are moving at ludicrous speed because Chelsea and Madrid are sniffing. Barcelona as well have been involved. Deco, I believe Edu has a relationship with Deco as well, which is Raphinha's agent. We have to cut off at some point, says Ray Anderson. And this the tough part of the negotiating, Gary. Our bargaining chip is playing time, and a Brazilian contingent that's growing and growing at the airports.
Oh, no, definitely. We gotta close this thing up. I keep hearing Gnabry coming up, and it's like,
I don't think it's the same kind of level of player. Gnabry is a Champions League level player. He's played in the Champions League. He may not want to, although he loves Arsenal, he may not want to come back and play Europa League football. Raphinha has been the best player in a struggling team, just avoided relegation by all accounts. Here's the ironic thing that he's helped Leeds United stay up. And if
I
Leeds had
mean, the two different
relegated,
types of confidence, right? There's two different types of confidence, and one is knowing what it takes to get there, and knowing that I can bring that to a squad, or in Raphinha, like that's Gnabry, right? And if Raphinha's case is, I believe having that confidence in yourself that I'm gonna help my team move up, keep stay up in the league. So I kind of felt like you get different types of characteristics from both players. So it's one of those things where we're not going to say no, right? If Raphinha doesn't work out and Gnabry's still an opportunity there, and you can put whatever that number is that they're looking for in front of them,
the
and they say yes,
wages
then
are too much.
yeah.
350 a week for Gnabry.
So maybe that brings down the price some, so you could cut,
Yeah.
so the price that you would be paying for the transfer fee comes out of that, the difference in the player because of the cost, right? So
There
that's
were-
the only thing. That's the only way it would work, right? If I said, you know what, you take 150,000 off per week based on the fact that you take a lower transfer fee, then it looks the same at the end of the day at the bottom line, right? So there's still options there. So yeah,
yeah,
so for me, I don't can't lose either way. You get something for both of them that we don't have. Um, you make the numbers work for yourself, or else you move on.
mhm. I personally think Gnabry is a Champions League player, and Raphinha will come to the Europa League for with us.
But you know what? That's never that we should never. That has never been a problem. We've pulled players that are Champions League players before. The fact that we actually look much better going into, this season as we had when we didn't have Champions League, for me should show that we're on the way up. And it's always you always hear it's better to buy the stock on the way up, anyways, right?
Mhm. Yep.
When Aubameyang came in, stocks were going down.
Wow.
Stocks have hit bottom, and now we're going back up again. You want to ride that. You want to ride that stock as it goes up,
Yeah.
right? Because all you're doing is adding to the positives that the squad is going to give. So why not?
Let me just say the ironic thing is that Raphinha helped Leeds stay up and be a Premier League team next season. If they'd have got relegated, Raphinha's price would have been a lot less, and Barca would have probably been able to come and get him. So market a player. He stood up for Leeds, and he helped them not get relegated to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah. Or a team may have come and said we'll go over the top and give you closer to what you wanted,
And
right?
look, they have said £65 million is what Leeds will deal at. We're probably 5 million away, right, Tony? Because you've translated
Yeah.
65 million sterling to 76, close to 76 euros. I think that offer of 70 million euros plus 55 plus 15 should be acceptable, Stan, to Leeds.
Okay, right. One more time, right? I want to work this into pound sterling, right? That's what I understand.
There you go.
So,
It's 65
hold on.
million is for Leeds.
I'm looking at BX Gunners. What he said there. He said 60 million plus 15 in add-ons. Is that what he will go to, or was that what we've offered? Have we offered below 60 million and including add-ons, the full finished thing? It will be at 60 million pounds.
Well, I understand it's 55 million euros.
Wow.
Euros plus 15 million euros. And
Which
Tony, which is
Okay.
70 million euros,
So
okay?
that's 60 million euro, 60 million pounds plus 15 in add-ons, which would be a total of 75 million. Well, if that's
No,
what it
total
is,
of 65 million.
okay. So what is the add-ons in
Basically
pound?
50 million plus 15.
In pound, okay. So that's, I don't. Yeah. Well, and they want more than that. For me, I think that's the threshold, right? For
I
me,
think we're right there.
for me, I would probably stretch to something like 55 million pounds, 50 to 55 million pounds as the money, and then you bring it up to 60 million with the add-ons. But that's the threshold. I'm not going over 60 million. This is just me. And it's funny, isn't it, the way that we're all sitting here debating millions of pounds, like we all earn that. We don't, you know.
That'll
But
buy me a lot of legs.
But you know, as I said earlier, yeah, I found out about Dennis Bergkamp on the back of a newspaper. There was no debates about the price and this, that, and should we or shouldn't we. I just found out it's Dennis Bergkamp, 7.5. Sometimes a player is worth as much as you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Example, as some of you know, right, during the football season has been down. I've been a bit bored and I got wrapped up and started spending a bit of money on some of my vintage action figures, which I do as a hobby. And you go on eBay and you bid, right? You bid. You know what you're looking for and you bid. At the end of the day, though, you're only going to bid as much as you think that it's worth. What you think it's worth. I can say to someone, yeah, I bought that. How much was that? And they'd be like, why would you? Because to me, it's worth that. Right?
Yeah.
And so you've got to look at it that way. But we now live in this bubble where we don't just get the back page of the newspaper or Oracle or CFAX. We have people like Swiss Ramble that tell us the intricate workings of the club's finances, how much we get for our sponsorships, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. So now it's become part of the tapestry. So I understand why we look at the figures, and that's why on this basis, I would say 60 million, include, you know, as a final figure, including add-ons or whatever, I think would be sufficient. We should not be heading into that Nicolas Pepe territory. Have we not learned? You know, and I honestly think that as ambitious as I want Arsenal to be, we are not I do not think that we have warranted the need, and we are in a place where we should be spending more than 60 million pounds, including add-ons and all that shit, but as the top thing for any player. That comes at the next level. So on that basis, if we can't get Raphinha for that lockdown at 60, including add-ons or whatever it might be, there are, as much as I think we do need another winger, I'm one of those that do feel that we could do with another winger, that especially one that could that's good on either side. There's others out there that we could get for a lot less and maybe save 20 million. I look at the guy from the Dutch guy. Is it Cody Gakpo?
Yeah.
You know, a deal could be made there. But don't get me wrong, I would like us to bring in Raphinha because I like him. I like his personality. I've been reading about him and that he goes to the bench, and that when they said, like, we're going to play for the draw, and he went to the bench and says, no, we're going to win this. Let's play for the win. And then that's what happened. And they got the win. Here he is. But they got the win, right? So I like his attitude.
Late night Lottie.
I like the inclusion of another Brazilian. I like this Brazil feeling that we samba feeling that we've got going on.
Yeah.
But there has to be a limit, man. There has to be
I feel this. Gary said this is a very good offer.
Oh, and one last thing.
agree with that.
Leeds have been very vocal about saying, because of what Raphinha has done for us, if he needs to move somewhere, we're not going to stand in his way. Sounds like it to me that they're standing in the way a little bit by quibbling over another 5 million.
Big Gunner said Leeds are in complete favour of getting this done as soon as possible to bring in replacements. They know Phillips is going to go to Manchester City. They know Raphinha is going to get sold. It's just, this is a really good offer, and I think they should take it.
Yeah, definitely.
Without bias at all, guys. I'm not biased at all. I think Leeds should take the offer. And make us happy.
Definitely.
Tomorrow.
I think so. Yeah, we should
That
be.
was Tom's asking price. He said 60
We should
million.
be moving
so
on from
around
that
60
one.
million, so should be good to go.
Raphinha and Jesus plus our attack. Oh my God, Stan.
Can I ask you a question, though, right?
Europa beware.
Can I ask you guys a question, all of you, and the chat box as well? If you can only have one of Raphinha or Yuri Tielemans, that's it. Yeah, we're bringing in Gabriel Jesus, we've got Vieira, but you can now only, and even bringing that Martinez fella that we were talking about, right? Martinez, right? But you can only have one. Gary?
Tielemans.
Wrong. Not going to happen. Stop it. We're not entertaining.
No, but I just want to ask you, I just want to know that.
Play the game.
No.
You're sitting on the fence, man. But
if we can only bring in one, then we're bringing in Raphinha.
No, but you. I'm asking what you would prefer.
Yeah,
what you would choose.
If I can only bring in one, I'm bringing in Raphinha.
Can I ask why?
Because I felt like that was that was part of our problem. Yes, I would rather improve on. I think that improvement with Raphinha is bigger than Tielemans' improvement.
But what do we need? I'm going against.
We need to score more goals. We scored 60 goals, and I want to score 70, 80 goals. He's going to help us do that.
Interesting, Gary.
That's what I feel. I feel he'll help us do
that. It would appear that Gary's losing some form here. He's coming out of form.
No, think about it.
Someone's looking to get subs.
No. Think about it. Besides, Erdegaard was one of the top scoring creators out there, right? He had nobody to finish, right? That's what the stats say, right? And then I think Saka was fifth in that list, right? Creating these opportunities but not having anybody there. I believe Raphinha is that. Well, Pepe, we don't need him anymore.
Oh, Gary. Gary, you're so Arsenal, right? You get a new contract. You've been playing out your skin. You get a new contract. Form goes in the toilet.
Gotta ask Alonso.
The ink's not even dry. From what I said, the ink's not even dry, and Gary's just.
Stan, what's your answer before?
Send him to Fenerbahce. There's a podcast in Fenerbahce we can send him to on a free.
Stan said Tielemans. Tony, Tielemans or Raphinha? What does
Tielemans because our midfield is way too thin.
Tielemans, right?
Yep, because the midfield's way too thin.
Alonso.
I'd go for Martinez. I think that he'll.
No, you can only go for Tielemans or Raphinha.
Okay, right.
Scenario.
Alonso comes steaming in like Rowdy Roddy Piper. Do you know what I mean? Just when you just when you give the guy the question, he changes the answer. You give him the answer, he changes the questions.
Late night Lonnie.
Right.
Late night Lonnie.
He's got butterflies, right? Leave him alone.
So out of the two though, Lonnie, seriously, right? Tielemans or the other fella? Who you going for?
I go for Tielemans.
I was trying to influence him by saying other fella and not name.
There you go, Gary.
Sorry.
You have voted, Gary.
I go for Tielemans. I go for Tielemans because he's too slow.
What? 4-1.
Secret Xhaka lover, man. I found a secret Xhaka lover.
So I go for Raphinha. I think Gary's right. I think that had we have a better finisher, I think we get more goals. So Raphinha for me. I think that he'll add another dimension.
You went for both of them. How dare you?
I think that he'll be all right. I think that he'll fit in wonderfully with Arsenal. I think I can't, Gary. I can't stand.
You can't.
Yeah, but I'll go for Raphinha as well, Gary.
Okay. Oh,
Thank
you
you.
just
That's what I
switched.
was saying.
You're not welcome.
Jedi mind trick,
So
Gary.
it's like that. So it's like that. Okay.
He just
Three
switched
against
you
two.
up.
It's 3 against 2. I still
I
think we
can
can
find
take
some
them.
plot
I still
holes
think we
in
can
that.
take them. 3 of us. It's 2. So
Stan, do you think you can find some plot holes in Lonnie's switching?
yeah, what was all that about? 1 minute I'm like, yeah, man. Lonnie's coming into the posse, and it's like, but Gary. No, but I get it. I do think that we could do with a winger. I do. I mean, ideally, we get both right. I mean, that'd be the perfect scenario. The perfect scenario. But if we can only have one, and again, you know why? The Xhaka factor. That's the reason why for me. That's the most important factor.
But Hillman's, it's a position we've identified as being a weak area in the team. We didn't look at a right wing and say Saka's underperforming. No. We didn't say we needed a right winger in Raphinha. We said we needed a midfielder, Gary. I'm looking at you, Gary. And we needed a striker. So
I
you
just,
don't have
I'm
to
just,
answer, but I know you will.
we're talking about the difference between. I understand the difference between
Our needs.
Because
Jesus, our needs are to
crossing
score
up
more, right?
boxes.
Our needs were to fill gaps.
I got a feeling Xhaka doesn't only have needs of Mikel. He's also got needs of Gary. So busted.
If he does, his eyes are burned out because he's just like, what the world was that?
What is going on there?
Ray Anderson's
Do you know what I mean? Where did all that wood come from? Surely someone's going to have to clear that away at the end. Sorry.
4 people in favor of Raphinha and 3 in favor of Tielemans. So
I kind of feel like the squad's getting better, and I just like Raphinha puts you over the edge in the front line in the attack.
Yeah.
So Tielemans, we all think he has some
counter argument. You save the Raphinha money, you go for Tielemans, and then you've still got a little bit for another winger. It doesn't mean that it could be one or the other, right? It could be Tielemans and a winger, but not Raphinha.
You said you only have one more move.
I'm changing it.
Oh,
was it that Darth Vader said to? Hang on, was it that Darth Vader said to Lando Calrissian? And he said to him, Lord Vader, you're changing a deal. And he said,
pray you don't change him further.
He said, Lord Vader, you're altering the deal. And he said, I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further. So I'm altering it. But there is an argument there, right? That we could get Tielemans and a winger.
No, but you said you only had one more player you can bring into the squad. That's essentially what I heard.
I never said shit.
That's essentially what I heard.
No, you didn't say that. You said you have a choice.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
These are not the droids you're looking for, Gary.
Alonso, you may be listening to the podcast. We're talking about Raphinha. This offer to Leeds. It's a good offer, right? 55 million euros plus 15 in add-ons.
I say it's a risk that you take as if you're Arsenal. I think that you gotta go with it now because you kind of set up a plan, and rather it's for depth or whether it's for playing time or what have you, or even challenging for position, it makes sense. I think it's also a star name. I think that it gives us competition for positioning, like I said. And I think that, no offense for Tom, but it's an upgrade from Leeds to Arsenal.
He just wants the money. He understands that. He just wants the money.
I'm glad, but my own opinion, I'd rather have Calvin Phillips, if I'm being honest. But either way, it's a win-win for us. I think that he's looking to grow as a player, and I think he sees what Arsenal is doing, and he sees us as a club that can use his talents to get over the edge and possibly more. I think that he also sees this as they have Bukayo Saka, who he likes, and doesn't mind being a teammate of his. So it's also a good thing that we're also having these young kids, in Uruguay as well as Moses Rowe, being a part of and also Martinelli being a part core that are still young, and he also has some leadership as well because he's very talented and shows some qualities of leadership as well. And yeah, I mean, I think it's the next step for his career as well. So yeah, I mean, I think he sees Arsenal as a stepping stone for his career for sure.
Um, okay. With all that being said, Raphinha, I think we might get some decent news tomorrow on this. The Leeds will maybe have an answer for us. Who knows? Maybe they're going to take a few days to think about it. But Gary,
Yes,
this
sir.
moves us nicely to the next little section. It's going to segue us to the KFC um, strategy. How much money? It looks like we're spending. I'm going to go English pounds now. 60 million on Raphinha, maybe 25 on Tielemans. We've already spent 30 on Vieira, and maybe 50 on Gabriel Jesus. Doing some math there, that's like, what is it, about 180 million?
Yep. So we still got 35 to go, right? I think it was
Do you
215
think?
was the number.
Do you think the numbers
Did
moves
you have
are
8 million for Mark? So 3 million for Marquinhos.
I got 165 right now. If I do all of that, if I believe all of that's correct, Tony.
I thought Vieira was more at 34 million or 35.
30 million. It's about 34 million euros, probably close to 30 million sterling. Jesus going to be about 50 million. Raphinha could be 60. And Tielemans, who's
Who's
ranked
that?
Tony? Stan.
Tommy,
It's got to be Stan. That's got to be Stan. I'm making Ray Anderson hungry with the KFC news. Yeah, listen, Tony, what about Sanchez coming back to the Premier? We don't. He's a spend for us, right? We're not going to do that.
who cares? He
Finally,
scored like 5 goals with 2 seasons
you used
combined
to
after he
love
left.
Alexis Sanchez.
I wanted Alexi and Ozil gone at the same time. Adios, both of you.
I did not.
All right. Yeah. Do you think we have close to 200 million that we're going to spend?
We spent 150 million last summer, so
Now we're going to probably outspend that. We're going to probably outspend that. So Arsenal fans rightly will be able to say, "Look, we spent the most money 2 summers running. We expect results this coming season."
so if we fail, who's it on? Arteta? Can't blame Kroenke.
Actually, what is failure?
If you don't get top 4 again,
If you don't get into the Champions League, yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, moving on. KSC franchise formula. Alonso.
I told you, right? You just got to approach them. You ask them the location for a store, and then they send you the chicken. KFC franchises. I told you.
Okay.
KFC
franchise formula.
KFC. Sorry.
Yeah, KSC. Cronky. Sporting.
it sounds like KFC when Ray says it.
Cronky
It does.
Sporting.
That's what I hear. The Colonel.
Ray Anderson says no, and I agree with you.
That's a. Oh, we talked. Did I miss? That's a joke. Surely
Alexis Sanchez. Yeah.
That's a quiet day in the newsroom. That's what that is. Really. You know.
All right. Alonso, here's the formula. Okay. KFC,
Seven secret spicy. Oh, sorry.
Here's the spices.
7 secret ingredients. I just did KFC. I'm sorry.
KSC. They won the Super Bowl, Alonso. They won the Super Bowl, right, with the LA Rams. They spent big to get the players they needed. They went out
And they won lacrosse.
Okay,
won the competition, Alonso. They went out and won the competition. They spent big. They got the players they needed. They brought in a young coach, and they got success.
Right, but that took time to develop as well. I remember Summit Ray being and first year
How
rookie
did it take
coach.
time when they played the Patriots his first year there? He's in the Super Bowl. Did it take time?
Tony, look, you just killed Alonso on air. I mean, there's going to be repercussions,
They were
right?
in the
I
Super
mean,
Bowl his first
you're not
year.
going to be able to
so
talk your way
it
out of
take
it. We've
time.
all seen it. So
Well, I'm mute.
Let
I'm
me-
gonna mute.
let Alonso talk,
mute.
because can I just say
I'll
something,
mute.
right? Listen, I'm from England and that, right? I support Arsenal, but I don't know a lot about their American, what they do with their team. So all this stuff about how they manage it, and that, I'm interested to hear it. I don't know anything about all this.
Can we rename the podcast 20 Fan Circle?
The Tony fan circle. That's the line of the night.
Alonso. He's mute. You get to speak now.
Right. So when McVay took over the Rams, he was a young coach. So he had a little luck his first year at the Rams, right? But then he developed and were always contenders. So you see a model for Arsenal. You see a similarity for Arsenal and the Rams, right?
Can I ask a question? This guy at the Rams, right? This young guy I've heard about. How much experience did he have before he went to the Rams? Was he another team, or was he like college, or was he like a novice like Arteta?
Here's an assistant coach, I believe. Gary,
Gary wants to speak.
So that's similar to Arteta than an assistant coach.
So I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I just know he just started very young and was successful early.
Gary, this is Gary's specialist topic. I feel like Magnus Magnuson right now. Gary, your
Start
specialist topic.
No. McVay, as far as I'm concerned, was considered one of the best offensive coordinators. Basically, the scoring side of the team.
What team was he with, Gary? Who was that with?
LA Rams.
He's with the Rams, I believe, and they got promoted up, right?
Okay.
So my understanding, he was what they considered an offensive mind in the game, right? They had a good squad. They just maybe didn't have the players in it. I think eventually he got promoted to head coach. Arteta is not that. So for me, when we hear about the comparisons, I just never.
Well, it's different comparison, Gary.
He's at Washington. He was offensive.
I'm just saying
Gary.
Huh?
At Washington, he was offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and he never played. He never was with the Rams, though.
No, he was as head coach.
My understanding was he was an offensive genius, right?
Yeah,
is my understanding, right? And that's basically what he brought to whatever team he was going to go to, and ended up going to the Rams.
He won the Super Bowl with the Rams, right?
The comparison I was trying to make was
that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yes.
Was whenever the Rams started, whenever Kroenke started investing more money into Rams, when he started in free agency, right? And then over time, it became a contender even more so than it was. So he brought in players that could fit the system. He traded for Stafford, right? Yeah. So then there you go. Because golf wasn't the answer, obviously, right? So he had to make some moves to make it better, the system or the formula better. And so over time, it was both Kroenke's money and also the draft that got better. And so I think, finally Kroenke is giving Arteta saying, hey, here's some money that I accumulated with the Rams and with even the Avalanche as well. Because even the Avalanche has spent some money, right? So they also got lucky with draft picks too. So they had to develop over time. So you can see at Arsenal's formula now with the Rams and the Avalanche doing with what Arsenal is currently doing now.
Okay, so let's go. Let's look at this. So he was with the Redskins, head coach for the Rams, offensive. I think he was either offensive or one of the coaches of the year. First year as a head coach. Next year, Super Bowl.
2 years.
2 years as a head coach, Super Bowl. When people bring up this comparison between him and Arteta and Arsenal, not the same. Not
First
the same
season
at all.
FA Cup.
Oh boy. I left you.
Okay, you're comparing the
You
FA
mean
Cup to the
almost
Super
5 we
Bowl.
won?
Of
No,
course.
but in its own sport, I mean, I'm not going to say
Let me.
the Super Bowl is the biggest sport watched in the world. I'm just saying
No,
in
no,
your
but
respective
Well, Gary,
area.
But that's not.
I
But
mean,
no, if he
it's-
One
played
it's
second.
for
not
if he
an
played
achievement.
for a Champions League or a Europa Cup, then I might say it's comparable.
okay,
right?
Gary,
Or
one
Premier
second.
League.
One second.
He won essentially a really tough playoff game.
Gary,
Essentially, what he did.
so
If you want to go comparatively based on how the sports are laid out.
I wouldn't even bring this if this was just an isolated situation with the LA Rams, but you can't compare what the LA Rams have done to what now the Avalanche look like they're going to do in
What
hockey.
sport is that? A hockey.
Hockey.
Are they
They're two
winning?
different.
Don't
They're two
forget the
different
lacrosse
franchises,
team that
two
won the
different
championship.
sports.
Are they winning?
No, but
Yeah.
we
What
can't.
other
So
franchise doing?
then why are we even bringing it up then if we can't do a comparison? Because you guys were already
Yeah.
talking
No.
about the
You can
Rams,
make
and
a
now I start talking, bringing what I believe is some some quality information. You're like, oh, let's not talk
No,
about it
I'm only
anymore.
asking. No,
It's not.
one.
And you know what?
You can bring your. But I can ask questions, but I
Yeah.
can also disagree.
No. What I would say is that the way that the leagues are set up in the U.S., it helps out the teams. The teams can't screw this up as much as they can in the Premier League because there is no salary cap. Right? You can spend whatever you want on a player. You can get it wrong, and you can continue to spend again.
Mhm.
In NFL, if you spend wrong, you might be stuck with that player or that deal for a while.
I
Right?
think
It
the
hurts-
difference.
I'm
It
trying to
punishes
understand the
you.
franchise, and I'm confused as an Englishman, right?
Let me just say,
So hold on. Is the American football team, the Rams, they've won the Super Bowl. The Avalanches, I just see Thunder Road. The Avalanches is hockey, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
one
They're
win
one win
away.
away.
From the
So okay, that's good. Well, is that like basketball? We have like 7 games or
that's
some
the
shit,
7. Yeah.
and there's one more game. Okay, so one more game, and then they're gonna win that. So who are the Nuggets? What sport is that?
Basketball.
Basketball.
How are they? What are they like?
They're
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 not
they're,
bad.
Shit name,
They're
by the
good.
way.
they're good. Yeah, they're always in the playoffs, which means they
Denver
get to play.
lacrosse
Okay.
team won
Yeah.
the
So
championship.
they would be
just a few
considered
days
if it was
ago.
football, they'd be a Champions League team. They'd be in the top 4, would they?
Yeah,
you can say
probably.
that.
Essentially,
Is
yep.
Okay. What other sport they got stuff in? Have I missed something?
Lacrosse.
Rapids.
Lacrosse, they
Rapids.
won the
Yeah,
championship.
In
the
what?
MLS team. Yeah.
Rapids.
In what?
Yeah.
Lacrosse. What the fuck's that?
But also
I said,
their
no,
MLS
Tony,
team
you
is pretty
misheard me.
good too,
Tony,
right?
you misheard me. I said, is there any other
But the-
sport that they have?
The MLS team, which is the soccer, I think
Oh, yeah,
they
what's
won in the
that?
last couple of years, if I recall.
What's
It's
their
not the
name? Is
last.
that
Hi.
Colorado
Good to
Rapids?
see you, mate.
What's their
I
team,
can't-
Gary?
Is
The
that what it's
football
called?
team?
I don't remember what the team is. I don't
Is it the
want to know what
Rapids?
they mean. I think so.
No.
And how are they? Where do they finish in the league?
They finished. I believe they finished. They won it in the last couple of years. I don't remember.
So they've won the league.
I believe so. Yeah.
So hold on a minute then, right?
It's
Yeah.
a
When we
formula,
look
right?
at when people talk about the Cronkies, and they always quote that thing when he says, "Well, if I got into football to win trophies," you know that quote that people. I think he was fucking trolling, and it went wrong. It went wrong because from what you guys are saying, you know, these other teams that he's investing his money in, it sounds to me that he wants these teams to be successful. They've taken certain steps. Hockey, this, that, you know, okay, the basketball one, they're not winning, but they're in there. I mean, why is it now all of a sudden then that a football team in the Premier League in London they're not interested in? They are interested. And the fact the money that we spent the last window and the money that we spent in this window. So there seems to be a winning formula that they are interested in. I'm glad to hear this about what you guys have told because I never knew a lot about now.
No, they won the league, but that was like 12 years ago. So I'm wrong on that one.
But where do they sort of are they a mid-table team? If they were the equivalent of in the Premier League, would you say they were mid-table? Would they be qualifying for the Europa League every year? Are they
No, they were
League?
They finished the season number 1 in record. So they're
okay.
So yeah,
they
didn't win. They didn't win the thing, but
Okay,
they finished number 1 in their conference.
Good to see Tybe joining us at this mighty early
But
hour.
ain't that a good thing though, guys? That like there's this family who've got their fingers in all of these different sports, and their teams seem to be, you know, they don't seem to be a load of
Yeah,
fucking
and
deadbeats.
look,
They seem to be quite successful.
Gary, we don't know what
Yeah,
Arteta
but
can bring. We don't know if he's going to help. I'm just merely pointing out there's a formula here that the Cronkies and KSC seem to be doing something right in getting the structures of those franchises sorted out. And I believe Arsenal are getting themselves sorted out. And we're, like Stan said, we're spending money out last 2 summers. So success should surely follow, right?
That's the plan, hopefully, right?
Now,
But I
I'm
mean,
not saying,
it isn't like the Cronkies weren't part of Arsenal for over a decade.
well, they were not willing to put
They were
money
part
in.
of. They knew about Arsenal because they own part of it. They continue to grow in terms of owning more and more of Arsenal. So to say they didn't know anything about it wasn't like, okay, well, in the last whatever 5 years since they've had a lot of control, that they didn't know about Arsenal and how the league was run. You would hope, but it looks like they didn't, right? Because we're now only now talking about, well, now they seem to have a grasp of how to run a Premier League club, even though they've been part of this club for over 10 plus years.
They didn't have a controlling. They didn't have
It's not what
full
I said.
ownership.
It's not what I said. Why do you keep bringing it up? They knew about, like, by the time they got full control, it wasn't. There was like 10 years since they've been part of this team, sitting in boardrooms talking about where Arsenal goes
They've had
next.
full
Right?
control for 6, 7 seasons now, right? Come on.
Yeah, they've been with this team long enough to know how Premier League football works. And only now, after about a year, we're talking about. Seems like they got a grasp of this thing.
Here's my argument. I know. I think they came into Arsenal. We talk about the Cronkies. I think when they came into Arsenal, they didn't really know about football. And when I say, obviously, they're aware of the fucking sport and it's 11v11 and they kick a fucking pig's bladder around on a pitch, but they didn't understand the fabric of it. When they bought Arsenal, they had no idea, right, what was fucking in for them by the fan base, how the fan base will react and will dissect every little thing that they didn't know all of that, right? And I think that when they came in and they bought the club as their investment, and I honestly believe that their investment is not only to help their sporting portfolio, which they have, but these people are very much into land. I think they're the biggest landowners in the United States. I mean, they've got a ranch. One ranch of theirs is as big as Birmingham. One of their ranches is as big as Birmingham. Do you know what I mean? I wish Birmingham would go to their ranch, but that's another story, right? But they're into land, and to be able to have a prime piece of land in central London, which is Arsenal, again, is part of their portfolio.
Yeah, right.
But when they came in, and they basically came in and they were being guided by those that were at the club to feel their way around, right? And they were being guided by Ivan Gazidis and people like Raul Senyehi, who was brought in under Gazidis' watch, and they signed off in it. Oh, you think he's the right guy? Then we trust you, Ivan. Therefore, we will sanction that. And then what happened? Gazidis decided, I'm going, and they basically found out, like when you wake up, you come home from work, your missus is leaving you, right? Another scenario. I love these analogies. Your missus is leaving you, right? But she ain't told you. And you come off work early. You come home and you catch a mid-pack. And you're like, what? And she's like, yeah, the dinner's in the fridge. Do you know what I mean? There's enough milk to get you through the week. I'm out of it. And they came home and found Gazidis packing. And like, well, what are we supposed to do now? Because you're guiding us. And he said, Raul, Senyehi, and left. And they went, well, if I haven't, and they fucking got tucked up with that. They made a big mistake because they were being guided wrong. I think now that they're beginning to have more trust in their guidance of Arteta. Because when people turn around and go, I hate the owners of our club, they're not football people. Can you show me one owner in the Premier League who you would say is a football person and tell me why? Is there any owner in the Premier League that is a football? What does that mean? A football person? What? Show me one. Is the guy that just bought Chelsea a football person?
What I will say to that is that all of the people that own football,
you're guided.
No, all the owners that own a football club in the Premier League, I believe the one thing that they have is like some ambition to do something with whatever they just bought.
And
Right.
cookies are doing
And-
that. They're splashing the cash.
Well, one is to make more money, and one way to make more money in sports is to win.
And
Right,
obviously they want to, because they wouldn't be investing in the team.
No, but what I mean by that is then on top of that, then if you don't see your team making the money that other teams are making, and you have to ask the question why. Why? Yeah, I understand we're not going to spend money like City and stuff like that, but then you look at a team like Liverpool and you say, well, they're winning and they're not spending. So why is that? Right? There are parts to this recipe to win a champion, to make more money for my team and put my team out there and make them worth more. There's a lot of things that go into it, right? A good manager, a good squad, good, coaching, good board, good director of football, all these things that make it better. And it costs a lot of money to get all the players right, but it doesn't cost as much for me, anyways, to think to get a manager, to get director of football, and all those things that are part and parcel to this whole thing of getting the team and making them more money. Because the whole part, at the end of the day, it's all about making the most money. And how do you do that? You have the best of the best in there, right? The best of the best of the best, right?
I get it. You're not going to get any more Jack Walkers at Blackburn. It's not happening. I get you. You're not going to get a local guy that is a rich guy, owns a carpet business, and buys his local club. I get that, and it's a shame. But we spent the most money on transfers, I think, in Europe in the last window. In Europe.
Yeah, and we're going to probably do it. We're probably going to do it again.
That's ambition. And I don't need the Cronkies to turn up at every game. I mean, just look at Chelsea for one moment as an example of the debacle that is Lukaku. It's the player's second time back at the club. They spent, was it 98 million on him?
115.
Right? Okay, 115. Cheers, right? He's not pulling up any trees whatsoever. Right? Right? And then you got some people that try to defend it, and then they say something like, and this is where I like to catch them out. They go, well, you can't look at Tommy Tickle's a brilliant manager. Maybe it wasn't Tommy Tickle that wanted to buy Lukaku, and it was the board that brought him in. My answer to that is, I don't give a fuck, because at Arsenal, I don't think that our club would not do that to Mikel Arteta. Our club is not going to go out and buy someone, and Mikel Arteta's going to go, but that guy doesn't fit my system, and they're going to go work with it. So the argument is, either Tommy Tickle's a dickbag for bringing Lukaku in and it didn't work out, and if he wasn't in charge of bringing him in, then he's not really calling shots. So that, for me, I look at that and you don't see nothing about that in the press. It's hardly mentioned. They spent 98 million on Lukaku, and look at how it's all turned out. How long was he at Chelsea before he was saying, I wish I was still in Italy?
Half a season.
He said that. I wish I was still in Italy. And then look at the other side. Look at Man United. Look what's going on there. For me, next season, with the sort of moves that we're making, this is, you know what next season kind of reminds me of? Remember that season when Leicester won the league, because teams were going through changes all at the same time. It's quite similar. Chelsea have just got new ownership. Yeah. You've got Man United, which are bringing in a new manager, and there's loads of players that are going to be leaving because contracts are ending. They're just starting their rebuild. They're behind us. We're rebuilding. They're just starting their rebuild, right? Liverpool, Mane's gone. And for me, I think Mane's a better player than Salah. Salah may score more goals. However, I've seen goals where Salah has disappeared, but Mane always makes contributions.
Yeah.
So how's that going to affect
for me, Mane is the one that scares me the most.
Exactly.
Because you know what? Because he's the guy, that I feel like he's going to beat you up. I mean, beat you up physically on the field, whereas Salah is just going to score on you. But Mane's going to make you pay for 90 minutes. And you're gonna have to bring it for 90 minutes, or else he's going to punish you, and he may not even score. But he puts that bunch of a threat on your back line and stuff that you're just like, wow,
And just to finish, Man City, they're bringing in Haaland, but they're an aging squad as well. There's some other changes that they need to make. Look at Grealish, 100 million on Grealish, and to me it looks like that Pep doesn't even fancy him. To me, that was like, we want to buy Harry Kane. We want to buy Harry Kane. And that deal didn't go down. And then they were like, we are Man City. We need to spend 100 million on someone. We need to do that. That's where we are. Okay, we get Grealish, the golden boy, who's like getting into the England squad, and wears a pair of shorts that are sizes too small to make him like he's got a big package. We'll buy that guy, and now that he's bought him, he hardly plays him. So I think, as I say, just to round off, I think that next season, if we buy the right people, we might do really well next season because other teams are sort of like in transition.
No, definitely, I agree with you. I have a little sneaky feeling about Liverpool. Listen, Liverpool are still going to be a tough team to play.
Dave Chats.
They're getting a lot of
Dave
points.
Chats. Is he tuning? Don't let Dave Chats here, yeah?
They're going to miss Mane. And I don't know if Darwin's going to get the goals. Probably will. But they have gone all in to get Darwin Núñez. And they're not going to have money now to spend on a midfielder. They need a midfielder desperately, I believe, as well. Tybe's here. Good to see you, Tybe. Did Tuchel really want Lukaku? Was he part of the decision to bring him in? We don't know for certain. But that's a sign, Tybe, that Chelsea have not been run efficiently or well in the last 12 months.
I'd rather not have a manager where you wake up in the morning and there's a player in your doorstep and you're like, who are you? And it's like, I just arrived. I'm an Arsenal player now. I look at it a little bit like Nicola Pepe. We done Emery. There you go. He wanted a left winger. He wanted Wilfried Zaha. That's what he wanted. He went to the board. He told them, this is the player that I want. This is why I see him fitting in. And they all sat and listened to him. He woke up in the morning and he had a right winger sat on his doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to me just shows a little bit of miscommunication or the way that they had done business before. They were going to continue to do that because Lampard was there, and Lampard probably did not have a clue as to how to run a team in the sense of bringing in the players that he wanted and how to identify that. They just continued doing. Think about it. They just continued doing what they had been doing for the last previous years, right? And they actually forgot that they went out and got a really good manager, right? Because, like you said, if you bring Lukaku in and your manager can't figure out how to use him, then that's a problem. It's twofold. I think he's got to find a way to use him because the man scores goals. So whatever that takes,
he's going back on loan to the team they for $8 million.
Yeah.
So if you're AC Milan, you're like,
yeah. Yeah, for me, if that's not unacceptable, then what is? And that's maybe why they is it Marina leave or whatever her name is? I think Marina. She's gone. Yeah. I mean, they probably look at that and maybe they got some information about how that deal went down and went, well, we just can't be wasting $100 million on a player that we can't use. But
on the other side of it, what I do like is when we were linked to that guy Mello, is it Artur, remember, in the last window?
Yeah.
I was so glad that it seemed like somebody above said, like, shook somebody and said, no, that's not, no. Right. So again, there's somebody, I like that somebody saved somebody from themselves. I
don't think that deal was that bad if we got what we wanted out of it. If he's supposed to be is it because of the player or because of the money?
The player. I just think that would have been a bit of an ozil.
So you don't think that player wouldn't have brought anything to us?
I don't know. I look at him in the same way as I looked at that Hossein Aouar. I was so glad. You know how many raccoons I sacrificed that we wouldn't bring in Hossein Aouar? I'm not even going to go down that. I'm not going down that road.
There's a disclaimer. There's a disclaimer on the show.
I'm not going down that road.
Show. The words coming out of the guy to my guy over here are not. They are not the words of this show.
Look,
so anything Gary. He says, if you want to reach out to somebody's attorney, call his attorney up. Because
Gary, listen, I don't want to go into details, but if you do go to my eBay page, you will see that I am fully stocked up with Davy Crockett hats. That's all I'm saying. Right? David Crockett
he is not affiliated. He's not affiliated with the Arsenal fans.
We're gonna
this guy's an independent contractor. We're
gonna wind show. This season is about taking points from City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, and Tottenham. and on top of that, not dropping points to inferior teams. It has to be more consistent season where we get good results against better teams and also decent results against teams that are worse than us. Can we get Stan's takes on Kenobi? Maybe we'll round that with that. Yeah.
Sure. In the come click a link on the after show, and you can hear all
Okay.
about it.
The link is
See
there.
what I did? Did you see what I did there, Ray?
I saw what you did there.
See what I did there?
A little
Gave
bit
it
of
you know, that's like,
dangling.
you know, like when you buy a DVD and you get the extras.
Nerdscape is still here.
section.
Thanks for joining us, Nerdscape. If you're new, consider subscribing. We'd love that to have you as part of the family.
I've seen Nerdscape before. I remember I've seen Nerdscape either in this chat box, maybe in other chat boxes, but I've seen Nerdscape before.
We need to make strategic signings rather than signing any big names. And what I do like is the players we're looking at: Raphinha, Jesus, Tielemans. Hopefully, they're 25 years old, and that's the kind of age bracket and ability of player we want to.
I have a feeling Ray has us trying to.
You're welcome, and I will.
Complete with his coaching badges. I said you have us trying to kill him.
Yeah. I was merely saying the KSC franchise formula is just about getting the franchises in shape.
And just getting the chicken delivered. I said, they deliver the chicken. That's all. The rest takes care of itself. It's clockwork.
Nerdscape said, "I'm always about Stan. Thank you for noticing, mate." Okay, final words, Gary. I think the word of tonight is Arsenal's moving. We're moving pretty fast. You got to be kind of happy with that, right?
Yep. Here we go, right?
You wanted
we
this,
want to hear that. We want to hear that at least another 3 times. Would be nice, right?
Arsenal moving.
There's at least maybe 3 more. Here we go. So let's do it. Yeah, let's get the let's close these deals.
3
and
more
move
in
on.
the next week.
And get these players. I want to see the players going on the plane. The ones that we're talking about that are going to be starting and showing out for us. Let's go
When's
around.
pre-season, Gary? When's it start, mate?
It's like 3 weeks, right? 3 or 4 weeks from now.
Okay.
Well, I think preseason starts soon, right?
You get a lot done in 3 weeks.
They want players back in about a week or 2.
Yep. Yeah. So players will be back practicing, getting ready. So it'd be nice to have some of these deals closed so these guys can actually hang out for at least a week or 2 before they jump on a plane.
William Saliba. If there's ever been a phrase, it's like a new signing. William Saliba. He is like a new signing. Yeah. He's old. Guys never kicked a ball, So
and he's a homegrown player.
I'm really happy. It's my last word. I'm really happy with where we're going, and I've got a feeling that when we all convene here next Thursday, I'm pretty certain that we might be talking about 1 or 2 new players that now Arsenal players. It could be that quick.
Yeah. Jesus, and Kate. Well,
Jesus. Sorry, that's the song I'm working on.
Hopefully, Raphinha gets done, Tony, pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully it's sorted out this weekend. I still don't see how the first one was that out of hand. Second offer, definitely, to me, that would be maximum I would offer. But
it'll be interesting if Arsenal have gone in there and said, "This is our second and final offer. Take it or leave it," and we'll see what happens there. Thanks.
This
Tony,
is our real offer. Sorry for our first insulting bid.
Thanks for joining. Tony joined 1 hour in, and it's been a good second hour. Tony, Gary, Stan, thanks for joining. Alonso,
an hour and a half.
Final words, Alonso.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the Tony Fan Circle. I appreciate being on. Even though I'm a bit late, it's always a pleasure being on here. And thanks, guys.
Stan loves it.
All right. We'll leave it there.
Tony, Alonso just slaughtered you, mate. He absolutely top marks, mate.
Make it easy, guys.
Top banter.
Come on, viewers. Let's get some signings in the door.
Thank you, everyone.